Today is Tuesday, November 30th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I am your co-host, well, I guess host today, temporarily.
Own it.
Mike Schlau of His Was Brewing. We got a real killer show today. A bunch of our favorite people are on. So let's... Chris is currently running around, maybe driving to the airport, not sure where he's at, trying to get some shipments out. So we're flying...
It's busy holiday season.
Yeah, so Dad's not home, so we're going to have a lot of fun.
Supply chain issues.
Yeah, of course. Supply chain. Yeah, the first link in the chain of supplying the things has issues. But Chris should be back at some point. Who knows? Maybe not. But yeah, we got kind of like a hybrid show, like a classic roundtable, but not really like a current issue topics. Just gonna hang out with our friends, have a good time. I'm here with like probably some of the most consistent guests on the show ever. Edmar.
Hey, thanks for
doing?
having me. You know,
I'm new at this.
I'm upstairs. I hear this broomstick on the floor again. I'm like, oh, great. What did I do now? Is my sink leak? Did I leave the tub overflowing? But no, it was like
it's time.
Kept knocking. I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday.
It's the Edmar signal.
I have to come down. It was the Morse code that said, come.
Yeah. To the show.
Ed,
We need your
Mar.
hot takes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So great to be here. And I'm glad I could have the flashlight on my phone while talking to you. But I got to say this. It is so great to see you guys here right now and to be in the same room with you and to just feel the vibes and feel the love and the warmth and know that this round table is the reason why we're buddies.
Yeah.
It was because of this show that we became friends and became whatever, beer buddies, industry pals, and just been able to like work together on so much and freak out and laugh and joke and just really just have fun with each other and talking about what's happening in our universes. So this is a really great way to end this year for me.
That's right.
To be with you guys.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of seeing you more again.
Let's
I hope.
hope. Yeah.
Right?
Fingers crossed.
So exciting to be here, guys.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Yeah.
We supplied that for you. We also got Doug Veliky, the beer cruncher himself.
It's fantastic
doing?
to be back. Good.
Good, awesome.
Good to see everybody.
Brought us a little Wookiee Jack,
Some Wookiee Jack,
Which-
some Pliny the Elder.
you conjured back into existence with the tweet 2 years ago? 1 year ago?
Year and a half.
Year and a half ago.
2 summers ago. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best looking Wookiee Jack label ever.
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of like almost like a Grateful Dead throwback illustration, but it's actually the special Propagator series Wookiee Jack,
Yes.
which means it's extra cracked out,
Which
and
is
it's delicious.
Which is hilarious. They canceled it, and yet it also still won a GABF
my
gold
God,
medal,
yeah.
even while it was gone.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Firestone Walker again, just killing the game.
Yeah.
Doug, what's new in your life? What's going on? How you been?
Things are good.
Yeah.
Crazy as always. You know, I've been listening to the show, really enjoying it, enjoying all the different takes, not always agreeing with them or wanting to be there to defend. You know, I've heard craft beer declared dead and IPAs are dead. So, no, I've been trying to have a lot of fun, trying to make sure craft beer stays fun, doing my shtick on Instagram, having new kinds of fun with that. And,
Edmar's making TikToks that are now coming through the mic.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, nothing
You
crazy.
were
Things are good.
in Sacramento?
I was in Sacramento for Thanksgiving. I did go to one brewery, Moxa, It's a
Nice.
popular one in the.
Did you have a 42 Plato barley wine or anything like that?
I didn't. I went for a quick beer. Met a industry friend who works in beverage but not beer out that way, and we had a beer. There were, I think, 2 beers out of maybe 16 that were under 7%. So it was one of those high grav only kind of spots.
Old
But no.
school.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Middle
But,
school, I guess.
Had some
not like
Pliny
old
and
school.
some Wookie Jack. That's kind of stealing what I was going to say, what I've been drinking, but had some shipped, waiting there for me when I got there, and brought some back.
Nice. And then we also got to fill out the Murderers Row, Kate Brankin, Kate
Oh,
Tronica.
yeah. I'm
How
here.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with all of you in this room and all of you in Radio Land. No, I'm doing good. Yeah, doing fine.
What you doing? What's new? Like, what's going on in the life of Kate?
Just living that Northwest Indiana life.
Oh,
these
wow.
days. I am.
Michigan City.
Yep.
217.
It's yes, that is actually correct, Ed. That is the new area code. I'm still 773, but that's
I'm still 203.
oh
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah.
East Coast.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Just Thanksgiving. I did that.
Yeah.
You guys do that? Yeah.
We did that. Yeah,
Okay.
I went back to see my parents for the first time in a few years for the holidays. Went to Connecticut. We went to New York for a day. Had my lady friend came to Connecticut, New York for the first time. Yeah, we had fun. We had some lobster rolls. Went and saw some
Sounds
stuff
like
in New York. Yeah, the
did it right.
Connecticut lobster roll. I don't know if you ever had one. Is the pinnacle lobster roll.
How is it different from what
Well,
makes it
most people
Connecticut?
Well, a lobster roll you get out here is usually it's like a tuna salad, but instead they put lobster with the mayonnaise and stuff.
Okay, so
And
that's the ratio.
in Connecticut, it's just lobster that they pulled out of the water, that they steamed, butter, little lemon, maybe some chive if you're really fancy, on a split top bun, and it is just delectable. It's
Is that bun toasted?
Depends.
Good question, Ed.
Sometimes they have these like sides where you can toast them on, these like New England style hot dog buns that you can toast them up really nice. But these were the ones we had at Lobster Landing in Clinton, Connecticut. Shout out. Did not have toasted buns. They were just kind of heated up.
Warm buns.
Yeah, warm buns.
Which
I
are
say because
delightful.
Buns.
Chris isn't here, we should just turn this into lobster
Yeah.
rolls
The
insider
lobster
round
hour.
table.
The
Yeah.
lobster round table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about how they're doing lobster rolls here in the Chi-Town.
Yeah.
It's
Who has a good lobster roll?
who has a good lobster roll in Chicago? An authentic lobster roll, probably no one. But
Whose
good
definition of
lobster roll. There's actually a
authentic?
food truck. I think it's called the Angry Lobster. If you get the regular one, it's a good tasting lobster.
I never heard
roll.
of that.
But it's
Thank
on like
you.
a brioche bun. It's like a circle. Like
Nothing
more
wrong
of
with
a
that.
burger.
Nothing wrong with a brioche bun.
Nothing wrong with it, but it's not
A little bit more
not-
butter.
There's a lot of butter in there. Yeah, it means you can put less butter actually in the lobster too. It depends on where you put your butter.
Is Fish Bar still there?
Fish Bar, I think Fish Bar is still
They
there next to
always had a good
DMK.
lobster
They have a good one?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I just never, it's more of like a tourist item. Or like when I'm in a
Yeah, yeah.
location, I don't just wake up and seek it out.
Yeah,
But
well,
you guys should.
We also went to Mystic Seaport and found out that lobster fishing since the 1800s has moved ever more north as our planet's been warming. So, from Connecticut at least, from Connecticut to Maine, used to be like most of the lobster were picked
So
out.
now Connecticut is like a tropical fantasy.
Yeah, it's vacation lobsters.
vacation land?
They pluck the vacation
Coconuts?
lobsters. Yeah,
Coconuts?
Coconut groves.
yeah, coconut lobsters. Yeah, so we did that. Went to New York for a day. Went all over, saw the touristy stuff. Took a nice tiny picture of the Statue of Liberty from Lower Manhattan.
Very nice.
About as
Perfect.
close as you need to get. And then saw Times Square.
Wow.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
You saw it all.
Yeah. So, what have you guys been drinking recently?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of this Wookie Jack.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been aware of the black IPA as a style of beer.
The only,
You know?
Doug is my,
I'd
Yeah.
only
Source
heard
of
it from
most
a tweet
information,
a year
so-
and a
Yeah.
half ago.
Well, I got to say that I'm really just drinking all kinds of experimental beverages lately.
Oh, nice.
In the seltzers category, in the tea beverage category. What was the most recent beer? I did just get
It can be
some
experimental
beer
tea
that I haven't
beverages.
tasted from a Illuminated Brewing.
Oh,
Their White Christmas, their White Stout.
oh, cool.
So I have the cans
Fun cans.
in my car right now, I think, and I could bring one in here and we could taste
them
it.
down.
But I'm just drinking the usual Jungle Boogie, low fills, every night. Battle 20, playing Battlefield 2042.
Got any new skins?
There's a new update. They nerfed the PP20, which is what everyone
Again?
was. A laser beam, essentially, the most overpowering gun you could have in the game. So it's a little more balanced, it's a little more recoil. However, I've been losing some squad mates. I no longer have as many live voice over IP squad mates that I play with because I don't know what's happening. Maybe the thrill is gone.
They've moved on.
I mean, I've upgraded our gigawatt power here upstairs,
Right.
so we could all play
Is that
together.
what that noise is?
Yeah, that's, the saw. I've been sawing a lot of lines.
You've been sawing
Yeah.
lines to update the power.
and reconnecting them.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I have nothing earth-shattering like some of the beers that I see on the table right now.
What are some of the tea beverages you've been having, though?
Well,
Are these top secret or are these?
who cares?
R&D.
You know what? I'm just going to lay it all out here because I don't think,
Hear it.
So it's been a rough year. I don't know about for you guys, but it has
a rough
been
year.
brutal. The second year of this plague
Yes.
has been insanely brutal.
Yeah.
I remember the elation I had in April, right, when I got my second shot, and lots of people were getting their second shots, and we were getting out of this plague, right? I was like, man, we're finally out of it. We could try to do a real business again, or try to have a real world again. And then it kind of just faded and tumbled, and the mask mandate came back, and my colleagues, my longtime consigliere Logan Bay split. He said, "I'm done with this brewing shit." Mikey Manning moved back to St. Louis to be with his family and friends to start a new world, and started working over at his bro's place. The transition from like those two cats splitting with the nightmare of reopening, in a sense, caused a lot of disarray. But it was like, it's okay. We got through the pandemic. We could do anything. But the continuing delays in purchasing and getting supplies and freaking out about where you're going to get cans or where you can get lids, or bugging your friends for secretly bugging them so hopefully they'll help you out, and bugging everyone to help out, and then like not knowing what to do. Do you make sure people show their vaccination cards, or do you think people are humans and wouldn't go out and try to make people sick? And dealing with the whole crisis of just like, how do we deal with a world where a third of the population doesn't even believe in science? And the fact that every ideologue and all the ideologies in the world have been played out, and we're getting beaten down by the horrors of this strange world of like sci-fi, fiction, fantasy, dystopia.
We've made to the Philip
You know?
K. Dick universe.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what is going on? So then the hustle of like, are people going to come hang out at your place and drink?
Yeah.
Oh, everything's shut down again, so all your accounts aren't even open. No one can sell your draft beer. Like, what the hell do we make? How do we plan? We were already dealing with the uncertainty of like, wow, we have to ship beer to everyone.
Right.
We have to hand deliver our beer to make sales. Like, are we going to go back to that? So
I kind of like that.
it was nice. But so just pivoting like that, and then just dealing with the broken, failed state of Illinois, and dealing with the apparatus of the Illinois Liquor Commission, to dealing with the city of Chicago's licensing, and wondering if the 3 years you've taken to get a distiller's license will ever come to fruition. Like, I thought we would have our distilling operations open a year and a half ago.
I thought
and
had
it's
a brewery
still,
2
you know
years
what I mean? It's like so much uncertainty, so much delay that it's like, it just wears you down. And I'm typically an optimistic guy. I try to be really positive, but I got beat up. But the fun things are still happening. The R&D, to answer the question,
Yes.
is that we're
tea beverages.
we're developing some hard seltzers. We're developing some adaptogenic, freaky, regular seltzer waters. Like all the things I wanted to do that all my colleagues did not want to do, especially the ones who left. I'm now doing.
You've been left to your own.
There's no breaks. There is no filter.
All Edmar,
Oh, boy.
no breaks.
So,
coconut adaptogen water
it's
is
been
gonna
really
be hot.
it's been really weird. We're developing those beverages, dealing with the licensing processes, with finalizing our distillery operations, and then just crazy stuff, just weird stuff happens. Like it just is baffling. I just don't get it anymore. I don't even know what's up.
What's the most baffling thing you've seen recently?
I mean, just
It's a new segment. Most baffling.
What-
thing
Yeah,
you've
I
seen
do like
recently.
that actually, because that is how
I mean,
I feel.
really, the everyday is baffling to me some days. It's just, it's really hard to like understand what the heck's going on. I was joking, I think, in a text to you guys. I was saying like, oh, we should talk about the death of craft beer, right? The funny kind of like the end games of craft beer. But it's like, it's really not that bad. What really is bad is that being in this business right now, like any business, is just really tough. It's really horrifying. So.
Before you
From
got
the
here,
oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Doug.
I was just gonna say before you got here, Ed, I was telling Kate how, very relatable everything you're saying, and how I can't speak for everyone, but for us, during COVID, you have people making life changes, and an employee decides to uproot and move somewhere they've always wanted to live. And when that was going on, you can't just like immediately rehire them. You have to look around and say, hey, can we, since we don't really know what's going on and what's coming up tomorrow, can we get by without them? And you just figure out a way to do it. And then it happens again a few months later. And then, all of a sudden a year later, you're down 6 or 7, depending on the size. You're down people. And then you realize you're doing everything. You're doing 7 times what you used to do all these people. And then it does take a toll. And I think it is adding up on a lot of people, because it is hard. It's hard to rehire. It's hard to replace positions. Sometimes you don't know if you should, or if the business can tolerate it.
Yeah, I guess, myself, I just made me think about like, well, wait a second. How the hell did we even get here?
Right.
A bunch of goofballs
Right.
like us started this brewery. Like we just the notion, like, well, what happened? Like, how did it even happen?
Right.
And you start thinking through it all, and you're like, wow, it's kind of extraordinary. It's
very
incredible.
extraordinary.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
To that idea of rehiring people, especially like when you have a small brewery, you're like, you don't know what roles you need. So you have a lot of people running around helping you that fill these roles. And then when one leaves, you're like, well, they kind of did sales and also kind of did seller work. And they also kind of did a little bit of the social media. And so then you're like, well, what do I need to hire? Or does that just get atomized into a few different people, and then we hire one person to this one? It's like, it's not like working at GE where you're like, oh, this account rep is gone, so we just need to hire a new account rep. It's like, we need to hire a person like that.
yeah, the roles are not clearly defined. I mean, a brewer's role is in some ways, right?
sure.
But every other gig is different. But in a way, going through all this hell has helped us actually restructure everything that we do, and we do it a lot better than ever before. And our brewing process is actually more democratic and more open than ever before.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to Mikey and Tim; they were their own kind of like, the brewer's brewer, right? They were the boss, right? But like, it's nice to see our new cat Alan brewing more, and Zach and other people brewing, having a chance to actually do things or make beers, etc. But yeah, so that was fun to see. Like, wow, we came in this with that sense of like everybody gets a chance to do it, tighten the ship up, because obviously some people are better at doing things than others, and loosening it back up to get people more experience. Because that's kind of what it's about for me. It's like we do these things so people could do the things they want to do. They want to brew, start brewing. You want to learn how to be a cellarman? Go for it. You don't want to be a driver, you want to be a sales rep? Do it. You want to work you could do whatever you want in our company if you have a desire, in a sense. And sometimes that works really great, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, when you butt up against what someone wants to do with what they're actually capable of or good at, it's a hard conversation.
Yeah, but it's been pretty cool, but I'm kind of just like, man, can we just stop the Omicrons of the world? Can we just stop this? Can we just... we have 5 more years of this? Like, what the hell is going to happen?
I had a beer in the pipeline that was Unicron, and then
Nope.
I had to
No mas.
Yep.
cancel that.
There you go. It even ruins beer production.
Ruins.
And we're almost out of
unicorn
names as it is. So
So and
Terrible.
people don't really talk about it. I mean, people don't talk about how all the distributors, all small brewers have like little distribution drops all over the several states.
Drops, yeah.
Not even hot drops. Like regular orders are gone down. The shipping is so exorbitant. They no longer make their margin on selling the beer at the price that they were being sold to. Right? It's just everything that could go wrong is wrong in so many ways. And it's hurting small guys. It's hurting the small breweries. It makes it really tough to establish yourself, get a foothold, and do a thing. I mean, in a sense, having a retail location, a physical location is helpful, but sometimes you're just like, how really this? What is? How do we?
Right.
How do we get through? We can't control how the plague evolves and how society will not cooperate with each other. I mean, it's so polarized. People just don't care about other people so much more now than ever. It is insane.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to I don't want to be around those people. The only great thing I could say is that at least my daughter, my family is fully vaccinated. And I feel great about that. So now I'm very callous and I'm just like, screw everyone else. I could really give two shits about these idiots and morons who don't want to get vaccinated. You want to fucking die? Go fucking die. That's where I say this, and it's terrible. That's not me. How did this happen to me?
That's
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about this last year.
from the outside, it really seems like you're persevering through all these things. Like when I see you, you're still doing stuff. Like you're still rocking everything. You're bringing people together despite everything, and you're creating spaces for people to come together in artistic ways. Yeah. From the outside,
The buddy system.
Yeah.
you're killing it.
Sure.
Well, that's all I could fall back on. How do we use whatever we have?
Yes.
A kitchen, a printed space, the
You're
radio,
good at
our
that.
gal. What do you need? Well, how can we help? That's kept me happy. That engagement with people, working with people that way is really all we got, right? Yeah. That's what makes you happy, right? I mean, I love it when Joe from Have a Good Sandwich comes in and makes sandwiches for 3 days. We're like, oh my God, new food in Bridgeport.
Awesome.
So stuff like that is what keeps you going. And you just got to keep doing stuff like that. I guess if we could do that endlessly, great. If not, I don't know. I mean, just weird stuff on the horizon, just strange
You've kept
things.
it going for as long as anyone I know. So
Is Chris the optimistic one in this
Yeah.
crew?
Chris-
Is that what we're learning
Chris-
right now? Is that
Chris
Chris is actually
is.
the
He really is.
Chris the positive,
The wolf in sheep's
optimistic?
clothing.
Oh, I mean,
I'm saying
you guys-
he's grumpy, but
You're not. I mean, have you had any weird experiences in your domain over there?
oh yeah. I mean, everyone's dealing. Like Doug just said, totally can empathize with everything that you're mentioning, and everyone's dealing with hiccups here and hiccups there, and it's difficult to plan, and it's difficult to think ahead and know what the right thing to do is when to reopen in what way, and all of that.
And there's never a right answer, right?
Yeah.
At least at the point where you're making the decision, you have no idea what the right answer is. So you just have to continually stare into the abyss and be like, I think I see where we're supposed to be going.
And
Yeah.
And it is one of those things where, it's okay, normally if there was a can shortage, more draft, but there's not as many draft sales, so then you're kind of pigeonholed, and it's just a difficult time to grow and to try new things and to do the R&D that you are doing, and to try new, different types of, whatever it is. And it's just, it's difficult to plan ahead. Yeah.
Kate,
Yeah.
got any beers recently or that you really liked or that you were going to have that you might like?
Well, did I derail this part of the segment?
No, it was
No,
great.
this is the opening.
This is still the opening.
This is
yeah.
still the
Oh,
opening.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
This
No.
is lobster rolls inside
Yeah.
our table.
Okay.
This is how it always goes.
The
Yeah.
Lobs Hour.
yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Yes, like I said, I've moved out of Chicago. I'm living in Northwest Indiana, which is not that far from Chicago. Very different though. But there's a lot of great beer out there, and so
Yeah.
I've been drinking a lot of local beer, specifically from Seeds Brewing Company.
Love them. What's up,
Who
Brian?
I met. Yeah, we met the brewer on the same day.
Yeah.
You and me, Mike, and
We're
he's
coming back
making
from
really
Michigan.
just great non-IPA, just kind of saisons and cool, different types of like foeder style.
Miles and
Yeah,
foeder
it's
things, lagers, decocting stuff.
it's really nice.
Whenever you say decocting, it just makes me so happy.
Aw.
Like,
We should all just.
I'll say
it
it.
makes everything better, really.
Yeah.
sure,
See, is
that's
that all
how
we
the beer.
need?
Every
That's what's
20
been
minutes.
wrong.
Really, all we need is.
That's what's been wrong
yeah.
with this entire year. No one's been saying
No one's
that
been
enough.
decocting in there.
Yeah,
If we would just decoct more, I feel
think
like
you're right. I think
Yeah.
that's a solution.
it would be good.
that's solution one.
I would love it if the next time we're on the show, like next week or in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
You bring some of this seed brewing up. Is it available in Chicago?
No,
It's
they're
not.
draft
Smuggle
them.
some in, traffic it in.
Yeah, I'll bring some in. There's a lot of other. Yeah, there's some good stuff happening out there.
Get some bottles. Get some old beer.
Yeah.
Get some,
Yeah.
Do they do growlers? No, right?
No, they
Yeah.
don't. They do everything kind of slow pours there. In the.
Get some sleeping
Tap room.
sickness. They have
Slow
sleeping sickness
pour
anymore?
too.
It's
Yeah.
looking. Yeah.
Are these guys the Forest and Maine of the Midwest?
Ooh,
Is this
might-
is
I
this a
don't
slow
know.
pour nation developing?
Maybe.
We'll have to get him on the show. I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan should come on the show.
I already told Ryan that I'm going to say
Yeah.
on the air, say on the podcast that I'm going to suggest
Yeah,
Ryan
we-
on the
I
show.
remember.
Bring it on, will you?
We were coming back from
I'm
Michigan.
upstairs. When you stop by, just use the broom handle and use the Morse code for beer here. It goes. It's this.
Put it in the dumbwaiter. Put it in the bag on the string that's dropped down from the window.
That's right.
and
Put it in the bucket.
That'll
Yeah.
pull it up.
Put it in the bucket, and then.
I swear the bucket
Don't
won't
look
have
where the
any
bucket
ashes in
goes.
it this time.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
It's a high promise.
Yeah, I love Ryan. Those beers have been fantastic.
So yeah, been drinking a lot of that actually, and yeah, it's been good. It's been good stuff.
Nice. How about you, Doug? What have you been having?
I was going to say
recently?
Wookie Jack. I'll stick with that.
But I drank it all. Did I drink it all?
You did drink it
You
all.
did finish it.
Was I not supposed to drink it all?
It was all for you.
Did everyone have any?
Kate and Chris are going to split the other.
Okay,
can.
okay. I didn't see that. I can. All right, fine.
No, I really like black IPAs, but I like them like in small doses, and I think they're perfect for any brewery, which is a ton of breweries who have some kind of rotating IPA program. I just think it makes sense as like a somewhere between October and February is just a thing to kick out there in small doses, make it go away, make people miss it. This thing was so big for a while, and it was like year round, and it really made no sense to be like an option in the summer. And of course, it flamed out because it just wasn't something most people would want to drink all year.
That's when
round.
we released ours. Always at the peak of summer.
2021 summer.
Yeah,
All black. IPA.
yeah.
The darkest IPA.
Yeah, it's
When
fun-
was the height of black IPA? What was that? Like
2016.
2000?
15,
2016?
14?
Yeah, 2015.
I was going to
16?
say like 15.
When Wookie Jack was in Bombers and pulling through
Oh
on shelves.
my
was
God,
like,
yeah.
Remember that time?
14.
Oh yeah, glorious time.
Yeah.
The Bombers.
Beautiful era.
Yeah. But you really think it should just maintain within that fall, winter,
Very
just
tight
and
window.
stop.
It
Yeah.
never has to die again if we keep it
Just
small.
keep it there.
Keep it small.
I'm going to remember that, Doug, because I would love to bring back the Lumpen IPA with the giant M logo on. Just that's it.
Wasn't that a red IPA?
No, it was the black IPA.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know, who knows.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, that was a collab we did called the Chairman
The Chairman, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have friends that like met at the release of that
of the Chairman.
of the Chairman, and now they're married.
Oh
And
yeah.
they had their engagement, or they had their it wasn't their engagement party, but it was like their like pre-wedding party at Maria's.
Yeah.
And they were
Aw.
like, "Do you think they would brew this again for us?" And I was like, "No,
No.
no way." Like, will you brew like a version for us to have? Like, no, no way. But yeah, they saw the bottle of it on their mantle.
That's great. It's with the armadillo label, I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the yellow and yeah, it was
Rail and
beautiful.
black.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to just see Doug just because I like being around Doug, but to hear him say the black IPA is a seasonal IPA
I agree.
between the fall and winter is something that you brewery owners and brewers should mark down on a piece of paper or on your phone right now.
Yeah, you should just read Doug's blog.
When I met Doug back in the 60s, I was doing Mash Tun Journal. We met on the show, understood his like scientific numbers ways. He was like a wizard. He's like the ultimate cruncher of numbers. Hence
Of beers.
his identity as the beer cruncher. Every time Doug speaks on this show or makes any quip on his social media platforms, which are vast, or when he has the time to write a blog, it is possibly the most important, deepest, free information about this industry that you'll ever get. Right?
It's true.
And I recall listening to this show, reading a tweet or a poll about the winter IPA phenomena, about the white IPA phenomena. And it's influenced me so much that I've just destroyed the brewing schedule. And we have a winter IPA coming out, and it's all Doug's fucking fault.
What is your definition of the winter IPA?
I didn't even bother to even think about it, really.
Yeah.
I had the brewers look at Doug's post, research what a kind of wheaty IPA might be like.
Follow this to a T.
Not even, we're going to call it winter IPA. Had some delicious illustration made of a skiing individual.
Love it.
Imagined après-ski parties constantly everywhere, all throughout the city and the country in Northwest Indiana.
Fondue.
We're all fondue,
Dune
fur,
skiing.
Yes.
awesome fashionable sweaters, goggles,
Yes.
hanging out with ski poles inside.
That's what the winter IPA is all about.
That is exactly what it's about. It's about
You
experiencing.
read the blog.
I read the blog.
Yeah.
I looked at the movie. I checked out this thing, but the winter IPA, which is happening right now, this will be the year of the winter IPA. That's all I got to say. Après-ski in flat lands will be so incredibly high this year. It'll go way beyond any metric you've ever seen before.
Some people call it cross country, but no.
No.
It is flatland.
It's flat skiing.
Après skiing and flat
I don't
land.
know how your
on.
marketing budget is looking right now, but what do you think about getting like a Mr. Freeze costume, like from the
Good idea,
first
Doug.
Batman?
Oh my
and
God.
you go around the brewery and hype everyone up with those terrible one-liners,
Yes.
like when someone's like upset, go chill out.
Yes.
Gold.
I
and
could
hand-
do
and
that.
hand them a winter
Can I do
IPA.
that? Does he have face paint too, or is that going to make
I mean,
canceled
kind
for?
of.
You can make your own.
Okay.
You can do
version
blue
of it.
face.
Just
Is that
wear
your
them. I
kids
can
do
wear
face?
blue masks.
It's like the winter King Kona.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, no.
Winter King Kona. I could see his outfit. It's
I'm sorry,
shimmering.
Chris.
It's glistening. It's glistening. It's blue.
Icicles.
Icicles.
Yeah.
A lot of sparkle. A lot of light. Maybe it's Christmas tree lights. Maybe it's LED lights associated with this outfit.
I think those are gems, though. They're from the jeweler.
Does a hovercraft fly better or ride better in the snow and ice?
This one does.
Yeah.
I have a husky dog.
That you, yeah.
That pulls the hovercraft.
Pulls the hovercraft across the hills.
It's more
Wow.
for show.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm definitely
See,
in.
more gold from Doug. Just
Actually,
suggest-
I'm just going to invite you now. You ready? Mm-hmm. Après-ski party in a hotel, January. You want to serve beer there?
Yep.
How about you?
yeah, I'll go to that. I
We're
will be
having an
there,
après-ski party late January, either at the Chicago Athletic Club or the Ace Hotel. You heard it live tonight. Booked.
there.
Done.
Be
I
there.
will wear my
No
Uggs.
calls to action.
Oh,
but,
well, I meant
it
that. I was
will
talking to
be
Ed.
there.
I was
You're-
talking
you're
to
saying,
Ed.
yeah.
I mean, we'll be there.
Ed, don't flake out on
Someday.
your own
There.
party.
Oops. I forgot this was also broadcast on Lumpin' Radio.
It will be.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not right now, but it will be at some point.
I wish we could go. We could eventually go live from here. We're almost there.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that, though.
Roadcaster straight to the people.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Doug,
Chris, yeah.
just want to thank you for sharing this beautiful liquid with us and understanding how to analyze what's happening, not using tea leaves or tarot cards or astrology, but by merely observing what is good.
Thanks, Ed.
Great. Well,
Chris did leave us some topics. I'm looking
About
at
what?
I'm listening at Chris's email. I'm reading it right now.
about lobsters?
Listen, jerks.
lobster rolls.
Listen, jerks. Here's what you're supposed to talk about first, and then it's a whole script. He wrote us a whole script.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right, let's go.
know.
I'll play the role of Kate.
Please,
Just kidding.
please take this.
What
role
did he email you? I don't know if I got this email.
I think it's just the.
The outline. Okay. Yeah, now I got the outline. Do you guys want to take a quick break? We'll come back, start talking about some of the topics that Chris just
Demands
emailed
of us?
Yeah, he's a real taskmaster while he's driving.
He
to
knows
the,
that
to the
we're
airport
too
or-
busy caught up in the ski lodge concept.
Yeah, and we'll be right back. We're back. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm here with Kate Brankin, Doug Veliky, and Edmar Zuski.
Or Marszewski, depending on how Polish you are.
Oh, Marszewski's. My apology. Edmar. We had a rambunctious beginning to the beers we've been drinking recently. And we're going to get into something that Chris had on this outline that he just sent me over BlackBerry Messenger as he drives out to the airport. And that's like, we're going to talk some haze, talking haze, kind of the current state of haze, where it's at. Like, is it growing? Is it shrinking?
Where is it?
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
It's a hazy
It's hard to
outline.
tell.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
Things are foggy.
And then what is like kind of the current haze drinker looking for, and what do they want, and what gets them coming back, and is there a singular haze drinker? I guess is
Well, in addition to Chris's
seated
mandate
inside that question.
that
Yes,
we talk about this.
Yeah,
It was also because Doug brought in Pliny the Elder, and this
That's right.
was sort of such a coveted. Is this the OG hype beer? I don't know.
That means the OG double IPA, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of a small list. Sure.
To see it in a 500 milliliter bottle right now, that this
Yeah.
format has not changed,
It's taking you back.
is like also explaining a lot. It's like
Jealous.
they do not have to change their format. This is still the original sin right here.
They did put some in cans, though, right?
They made a slightly differentiated version that they
Pliny
put in
for
cans.
President.
Pliny for President and a double dry hopped Pliny, which I know this is double dry hopped, but maybe that
does that
meant
even
something. I
mean?
know,
Doubler,
I know.
Doubler.
But it was not the exact same recipe, but very similar.
Got it. But yeah, most of this is still just sold in single serve 500 milliliter bottles.
Correct.
Pretty incredible.
And it's tasting pretty good.
Tastes great.
Yeah.
And they've been shipping within the state, and California's a big state, a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of different cities. So I think they sell it by the case. You can't pick what you want. You say, I'll take a case of Pliny or nothing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so it makes the logistics side for them easy because they just pack up cases, and then as the labels come through, they just slap them on and
That's the
get 'em
dream,
picked up.
right? Is to have a
pre-made. When you go on their website, there's like 3 things you can buy: a sour mix case, a case of Blind Pig, or a case of Pliny the Elder, and that's like it. And they pay. I can't imagine how
Great
many of those
options.
they ship out.
yeah.
Now, this used to be like difficult to get. People would like chop
For
off
us
their
in Chicago.
Yeah,
I mean, they
very
sell
hard
it
for
at
us. Yeah,
Whole Foods in California.
still. But if you ever went out west, you're like, "Where's the Pliny? Where's the Pliny?" You would go
Yeah.
immediately to a bar. You go to Tornado if you were in whatever Frisco. How many Pliny handles do they have? And you would drink them all.
It was like how Zombie Dust was here, where a store would get it, but they'd get so little compared to how many people were asking for it in a given week.
That's
So-
like what craft beer was everywhere when this was
Right.
the time period we're talking about, where it was almost, you would travel to a place and that's how you would kind of discover the place was, through the beer that you were drinking, or you would have to find whatever was regionally special. And,
Bourdain style. You would experience the place through consumption.
before haze.
Yeah,
So we
you're
have, like,
actually-
before
Yeah.
haze and after
Yeah,
haze.
before Haze and also before Instagram.
yeah, but Hayes was also part of that,
That was part
because
of the
that
rise
was
of
the
Hayes.
Northeast, the Northeastern tour. You'd have people driving up to, get some heady topper by the truckloads and bring it back in. So then that just
Well, then you
proliferated.
it also, when you took a picture of haze, it looked very different than anything else that people were taking pictures
Yes.
of. And like I did a one-on-one podcast with Jude from Hop Butcher, and he explicitly said the reason they made Galaxy Bowl their first hazy IPA was because they saw it on Instagram and they're like, I want to make something that looks like that. And now they make some of the best hazy IPAs around in Chicago. And it all started with seeing Instagram and having never had beers that looked or tasted like that necessarily. And then, I mean, it's funny how those things can work.
Oh, no. I mean, absolutely. One of the funniest beers we ever released was a hazy beer called Cloudy Boys. And the artist Jacob Chiauchi of Paper Rat fame, some of you guys might
And
remember them.
the bathroom at the CoPro.
No, that's actually Info Channel.
Oh, sorry.
But Jacob made a label
No, not Mars.
talking about trends. One was like was comic books in the 70s, and
I
then
remember this.
figs in the 80s, and then there's a tagline on the can that says, "Can we taste beer online yet?" And that was very telling about how the Instagram and photographs of your cloudy, hazy beer, just the beer porn itself was all that really mattered to most people, right? And it's funny because Jude was like influenced by
Yeah.
The exact phenomenon of like, oh, I see this, we have to make this. And of course, as we know, that's how everyone just kind of bites everyone's single style formula. Every single adjunct combo you could think of is just derivative of someone else's Instagram post back in 2000, whatever, 19 through 21.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but no one really, when you post a Pliny the Elder photo, it's more like it's like a nostalgic thing in a sense too, even though it's currently probably one of the best sellers in California anyways.
But it also tastes relevant to me. Like, I don't know if I'm out of touch.
You're remembering what an
like,
IPA is.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like it doesn't taste like if I were drinking like an amber ale or something where I'd be like, oh, this tastes like 1996 or whatever I would imagine when amber ales were ascendant. But like this tastes relevant to me.
Absolutely.
Right? And so like it's funny that it's been around for 15, 20 years almost. But it's still, the flavor of it is still as relevant as ever.
But to most people, this beer isn't relevant. An IPA is now, whatever, the New England style. IPAs mean hazy, low bitter, fuzzy, cloudy little drinks that are juicy, right?
Yeah.
The definition has been shifted, absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I feel like in the pre-haze era, and I feel like I in my head at least, I don't know if you all would agree, I consider like the heyday, the glory days of when craft beer was at its like craziest peak to be like 2013 to 2015, which is right at the end of that is right when haze came about. During that pre-haze,
So you're saying haze killed craft beer? I'm just sorry.
I like that. I like that. I like that you say that.
I feel like in that crazy era, I feel like everybody that was super into this, which I think includes all of us and thousands of others, I feel like we were all following the same. We all liked the same things. Like there wasn't that many things to chase. There was this select couple things going on, and everybody was kind of into everything. Yes. And then when haze came about, not because of haze, but at that time when it came out, that was like one of the first like real divisive things that happened. Other things like pastry stouts got divisive a little bit after that, but it was haze first. There was so much pushback, and that created this divide that created other divides within the divides. And now we have, I feel like everybody into craft, and I keep learning about this with every new neighbor I meet and hear that, oh, they like craft beer, and they start saying things. I'm like, what? I've never heard anybody say or describe it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's just this crazy world of people who I talked to way too many people who got into beer or were into beer at the same time I was, and we all think enough alike. But then there's all these people that got into beer in 2016, and we don't talk to enough of them. And there's so many of them out there. And that's who's buying this stuff where we're like, who's buying all this? Right. And it's all these people we don't know nearly as well or have as many relationships with them. I'm not saying we don't know none. Well, and this is just like fascinating to me. And because of how many ways we've split off and how many different kinds of consumers, and everybody has their own orbit of styles they like. Like Mike, you have your Saisons, you like your import brands, and then a few other things. Then there's other people that overlap with you on some of those, but then like these two other styles instead, and that's their orbit. And there's just so many of them now. And that's why I'm like, could there be a new hazy? I'm like thinking, no, there couldn't, because everybody's too split off, that there couldn't be this one style that like sets off, like hard seltzer is the closest thing, but I'm not counting that because I don't consider that truly like a beer. I'm talking like true beer styles. Yeah. I feel like that couldn't happen again, or at least wouldn't happen anytime soon.
I think part of it for me, like just hearing you describe that, and I think that's accurate, but what that makes me think of is just how coming up in beer, everyone was reading the same material. Everyone was reading the same books. Everyone was going to beer, like people were going to beer school. I didn't do that, but people were getting like the same education, and they were being told what styles were, and there was sort of like a dogma around beer that was rooted in sort of the 1990s.
I mean, if you go back far enough, Germany and England, and then probably the 70s from homebrewing
in America. So with that in mind, it was the first style that I think radically broke what the education model was and the industry was to make people, that was allowing brewers to come up. Everyone was kind of playing by the same rules, more or less, just adjuncting the same styles, and everything was like, stylistically on point. And this was the first style that just really erupted that because it was turbid, and it was an antithetical, like it went against.
And I think
it was spoiled beer before.
Yes, it was something you would dump. It was something that they would tell you to dump, and it was something that was,
I think on the other side of that too, it's one of the first times craft beer just actually is like, we just want you to drink it, right? We want it to taste good. Whereas like all the marketing before was like, oh, you're not worthy, or it's so bitter, or it's so difficult, like it's so much a nuance.
Yeah, how many IBUs?
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas like
bitterness
the hazy IPA was more of a thing of like it's low bitterness. It's meant to taste like approachable juice. Like it was kind of the first really popular style that was actually approachable. All those other things were like you had to have at least some sort of initiation period before you got into IPA, or before you got into porter or imperial stout or barrel aged stout. Like you needed some sort of gateway.
There's definitely gateways for all those
person
beers.
to tell. Yeah. Whereas those you can just pick them up and be like, that tastes like things I like already.
But also coincides with the rise of social media, right? And also coincides with social media and that kind of internet too being a disintermediation tool for the universe and destroying all business models, right? Destroying all traditions, destroying everything you know. So it's funny how it kind of coincides with that too, and that fed this frenzy of everyone then being in on the ratings game. It was no longer Beer Advocate. It became Rate Beer. It became, of course, Untapped, and all these sites formed around the knowledge of, this is a segment that we could harness to have people talk about these new beers, where it's pastry stouts or the haze itself. And to me, you're right. I like the fact that it really disrupted things. We were kind of making fun of it, but we were also like, let's just make our own version that's not as turbid and poopy. Let's just make it, tasty and yummy. And it was fun to go there. I mean, I think we came up with our own acronyms like the MDW, chill PA, or chai PA, or shy PA. We're just having fun. It was just fun to mess around with that. And then I don't know what happened. Then it's like, how sweet and juice-like can this be? Then you have the whole Florida Weiss thing, the fruited beer thing. Just also, I mean, this kind of extreme flavors and tastes were what were more important than the subtleties of the beers that we kind of knew we were into.
Almost like it's going through the same process that the West Coast IPA went through, where it became, how bitter can it be?
Yeah.
How like, how many
sour
hops?
Or
Or how sour? Yeah, where it was like, let's take this to the millionth degree.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's going through that process.
Stone
now.
Brewdog.
It shouldn't be surprising, actually. Like,
Probably on the way back from that, right? I think we've reached. All those things take.
I think it is.
And if you want to be reductive about all those styles of beer, they accentuate a specific part of a flavor profile, right? Like the West Coast IPA was like, we're going to be the most bitter thing, and then there's the sour beers, like we're going to be the most sour thing, and then there's these hazy IPAs where we're like, really the defining thing is mouthfeel and sweetness. So like that got accentuated to the point where it's like, this is like eating oatmeal, or there's barrel aged things there. It's like, we're gonna pump up the gravities and the sweetness on those, and I think all like those things just undulate and come back towards, I don't know, drinkability or drinkiness.
Well, sure. Now there's like a reaction on those hardcore fans from our era, right? Who are just really talking about lagers as if it's cocaine.
I think it's also
and like it's the most incredible thing on earth. A craft lager. We're an all lager brewery.
I think
we make bitter, slow pour. And it's like, okay, cool. A brewery should just make all styles, and have a diversity of styles. So it's like this
Except
rejection.
super.
I mean, no, we're just kind of back into a corner right now.
Decocting that beer all times.
So I think we're also seeing a similar thing happen. Like if we're
So
talking about
that's the new haze.
where the modern
lagers are the new haze. I mean, really.
Keller beer. But I think if we're talking about like where is the modern hazy drinker at, I think they're a microcosm of this cycle, right? Where they wanted things that were really intense and super sweet and super juicy and dank or whatever, and they're kind of coming back towards.
Aren't they?
Some people.
I would imagine so. I don't.
I think that the.
Do you think it's just ever accelerating towards more sweetness?
Well,
that can't
no,
be the case.
I think.
No, I don't. But I think that there's a core group of people who like those styles are going to continue to like those styles, and they're not going to wean themselves off of that towards a nice English mild ale.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Slow
it,
pour.
the way breweries are making their hazy
I
IPAs
see.
and the hazy IPAs
I see.
available now are
Yes.
as I was saying, like a little drier, a little bit different. Like
I think people are treating more and more people are treating the extreme versions of those beers as one-offs that they can dabble in instead of defining their entire approach to the style.
yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to like kind of transition into was, how nobody thought that this thing was still going to be going in 2021, going on 2022.
Are you talking
and
about COVID?
But bump.
But so, like when the big breweries like Sierra Nevada embraced this and New Belgium embraced this, that kind of just set off an immeasurable amount of like new people discovering a hazy IPA from every angle. And that's why I think it's like impossible to try to define the hazy IPA drinker, because I think it's become so mainstream that
ubiquitous, yeah.
my uncles who I'll run into who don't know anything about Revolution because they live in Pennsylvania will be like, hey, do you guys make any of those hazy IPAs? And they're like 65. And the word is now, because if you go in the beer section of any grocery store in any state, it's hazy IPA all the way across. So like everybody kind of knows what it is now. Like any casual beer shopper, and that's given it like years and years of life. Mm-hmm. And I think we also forget about how like different regions of the country are on different timelines too. We're kind of ahead in Chicago. Not saying we were ahead on hazy IPA. That goes to another region, but other markets were just behind on craft breweries and just experienced their boom of craft breweries in 2016 to 2019, where there's breweries popping up everywhere, smaller, mid-sized cities. That's happening now, and like new haze drinkers are just popping up. And I think about somebody drinking, like if my first beer was in the last few years and was hazy IPAs, I probably would be like, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
And then if I I drank a bunch of those because I enjoyed the first one. Then if I drank a Pliny the Elder, I'm trying to now like empathize and be like, if I was that person
really interesting.
and then I drank Pliny the Elder, I'd probably be like,
or 60-minute or 90-minute.
I bet you I would hate it. And I get it. Why? So
it's
if
reverse
a young
engineering.
drinker is drinking nothing but haze, drinks Pliny and doesn't like it, I'm like, I'm now trying to like realize, that kind of makes sense.
I think you would have to. I think now it's gotten to the point where if you don't say something is like, it's almost gotten to the point where it's like if you're making like a IPA that's not hazy, you need to like call it a West Coast or something.
Yeah.
Like you need to.
You need to differentiate it.
specify
IPA
it.
now defaults to being
Hazy. Yes.
Yeah.
I
one
think
and
so.
three. Like,
It's a
It
style.
started happening. People dropped the haze or New England style and just put IPA on it. And then if you didn't know that, then you're not in, baby. You don't deserve to buy that hot 4-pack, right?
well, I think that's also where the consumer's at for the most part, right? I'm guessing
Those
I don't
consumers,
really know,
yeah.
but like IPA means something soft and lower bitterness.
But
than what you see.
let's also know that haze is probably bringing people into all the different flavors and styles that are out there too. So you'll have people who start off with a haze, maybe were introduced to it after their White Claw, and they move on to the different styles like a lager or a sour or a Berliner Weiss or a sour.
I think sours are a gateway.
Sour.
Where a lot
Is
of
the
them are going
transitional,
now.
yeah.
They're getting big in a small way. They're getting bigger, fast.
Yeah, we see that people enjoy the various sours that we have, but we never got super extreme and weird on the sours. Like, is it Ology in Florida? The Florida Weiss freaks and just puree sour jams. I mean, that's where sours have a lot more room to be freaky, I think, even though it always has been freaky, or even different levels of accessibility for people, much like haze beer. I think that could just be a guess. I've always believed it and always wanted it to happen. We always like our sours. But But yeah, the haze beer is basically just IPA. That's currently what IPA means. And and if Pliny has to say, you have to say West Coast.
Yeah. I think we're largely entering sort of like a post-structure beer world, and I think that's why people are feeling a little confused, like stylistically. Like I was saying, we all came up in sort of like a rigid understanding of what certain styles were and adhering to certain guidelines more or less, or using those guidelines as launching pads for, messing, playing a little jazz on that. But like now there's an entirely new set of guidelines, and not even guidelines, but just like a launching pad that brewers are using to create their, unique beers. So it's just things are blurring, You're seeing things like, the smooge. You're just seeing, it's like
no
all
rules.
over. It's no rules.
No rules. Absolutely not.
That is something that like
it's great.
Me starting out would be like, yeah, and now I'm like, I kind of want a little bit of structure.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Where like, as I break them all down, there are no rules. I remember I was very adamant of style is BS.
Yeah, but now I'm like,
I still feel that way, but I'm also like, have some restraint.
I just saw a great photograph. I'm just so happy right now.
What was it?
I shared this on Twitter today.
I
reshared my Winter IPAs blog post with a Pipeworks one that they shared today, and then a Penrose one. And the Penrose one, what Kate was saying made me think of it. They named the style, and I'm not making fun of them. I think it's cool. Frigid Midwest Winter IPA is the name of the style.
That's good.
That's good.
I knew Mike would love it.
Yeah.
Ours was Abominable Snowman versus Unicorn. Also conveys the
That was
same
the name
idea.
of the beer. That was the style of the beer they were giving it.
That was just the style.
Oh, I see. That's funny.
I mean, I think that's funny. Like, I think I get pigeonholed into being like this curmudgeon of like, no, only Saison is the
the
true
new
style
Chris.
of beer. But I actually do enjoy all those things. It's just like, I don't know. They're not as engaging to me as a lot of stuff. As a consumer, like I love those things as someone who owns a business and someone who enjoys the proliferation of ideas. But as someone who wants to drink those things, I'm just like,
I get it.
That's
though.
fun. I also just like personally, I'm like I'm past irony. Like I'm like
Like, would you ever come up with a Saison recipe and with the methodology of like, hey, winter, maybe not prime Saison season.
Juniper and spruce.
Why don't I?
Yeah.
Why
I
don't
mean,
I
spruce
and,
Saison?
and call it a winter Saison? Would you ever call a beer a winter Saison?
totally
You better.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
You better.
no, of
You
course.
better have already made some.
Of course,
For
I
the
would
ski
never.
lodge.
I don't think I'm above the seasons. I don't think that like I would be so transcendent to be like, oh no, only the most authentic saison. We don't do that even. But I don't know what that is yet. We've actually had this conversation a lot of times at the brewery. Like, what really would be like a winter saison?
Spruce.
And it just like
Juniper.
we haven't figured out. We do a spruce beer. Like,
And
we make
that should be your seasonal.
Tree topper.
It's our December release. Is
There
the
you
spruce
go.
beer?
It's gonna sell. You're gonna sell a ton of it.
Look
Yeah, I mean
who it is.
we're it's already moving pretty well, but like that the conversation of what does that actually mean for what the beer would taste like, we haven't figured out yet because there's no real precedent for like an actual winter saison that's anything other than like a Christmas ale or something like that. So
Christmas ale. Yeah.
like they would do like Christmas beers or
I would
higher
argue
ABV,
that
but
most beers
are those
were
things actually
winter saisons.
most beers are winter saisons.
We're
Keep going.
winter saisons back in the oldie time.
What about
In
Avec
France.
le Bon Bœuf from
Yeah.
DuPont? That
Yeah.
is
Winter. Saison.
New Year's Eve saison. New Year's Eve is in the winter. By the way, hi
Chris is
everyone.
back,
Chris
baby.
is- How was FedEx Kinko's?
Our eternally optimistic friend.
Yeah.
Chris, we talked about all the subjects that you were hot on, except for one.
What's that?
Are you want to engage in this podcast now?
I do. I want to now. I've been finally
No.
sitting here. There's something worth talking about.
I think you have to lead this, Chris, and explain to us what the heck do you mean by
Hype formula.
what is the hype formula? Can you explain? I need some hype formula in my life, Chris.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out why I couldn't hear anything in my headphones.
Can you hear me now? Clem.
I can't.
This is Clem Fandango.
This is good. This is good podcasting.
This is Clem Fandango.
So much.
Can you
better.
hear me?
Now I can hear everybody.
Okay.
No wonder I wasn't interested. I couldn't hear anybody.
Yeah, so explain the whole hype formula to us, Chris.
The hype formula. I'm going to need a half a second to decompress because I just had one of the
tell
most
us where'd you just
insane
go?
experiences of my life. I was just inside the bowels of FedEx, like
By
in
Canal?
some giant.
By Canal and Roosevelt?
Yes. Yeah. Not in the service center. They took me. I was escorted by a security guard all the way into the back, where all the
Where all it is.
machines
Yeah.
are going around and everything like that. Yeah.
Nice.
It was
Terrifying.
it was crazy.
But you made it happen. That's your job.
Chris
You're
caused
the fixer.
supply
The
chain
packages
logistics.
are going to
On
be
the bus.
delivered tomorrow.
Nice.
Wow. Look at you go.
Yeah.
You know, if you have any supply chain issues at your tap room, store,
Don't
brewery,
call me. Please don't call me.
call Chris. He's
Please
got the
don't.
inside track on
1-800 Chris.
FedEx. I actually asked Chris, say, hey, Chris, give me some discounted rates. I want that rate, baby. Hook me up. Chris is the master at logistics.
It's really a passion. It started out as a hobby,
That's why you got
passion
into
now.
this.
and now it's what I got into.
You were doing logistics out of your garage.
Sorry, I'm
Everyone
You were way
says.
into trading Pokemon cards for a couple of years, and then this just replaced it, didn't it?
Yeah. It basically did. I'm a collector, and I just like making
collecting
things,
logistics.
collecting logistics, collecting terrible problems to try to fix with no time to do it. Mm-hmm. I like that.
That really ties in with the first part of this podcast, actually, Chris, as I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll hear later.
You'll hear later. It was a 35-minute "What Have You Been Drinking Lately" segment about how the world's growing great.
Lobster. The lobster
Lobster rolls and how the world
rolls
is
are
perfect.
just not working for us. So let's
Anyway.
get back to that question. You
Yeah.
think you're a little decompressed now? You want to drink some more of your lager over there, Chris? Maybe you need to drink a little bit more of that lager.
It's a good beer.
Just drink some of
Trumer.
that.
I will.
Drink some of that German lager and look at me. You see me?
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. I'm connected now
The Insider's Lobster Roll podcast
with the Trollumvirate.
butter and
with
lemon.
the original Trollumvirate right here at the table with you. This is it right here.
Yeah.
This subject of the hype formula is really what this entire episode was set
Let's
up
do
to
it.
be about.
Okay.
All right. When you talk about the hype formula, are you talking about how people have a formula for hyping a specific beer or their brewery or their style? Or are you talking about the formula, this unknown je ne sais quoi?
So here's what I'm
the formula
thinking, and
is.
I am open to getting your guys' interpretation on it. Okay. So I think hype came about somewhat organically in craft beer. Okay. I think that there were certain beers that consumers just thought were more
hypeable.
special, more
special.
hypeable, as you put a Pliny down, right? Or like
A Wookiee Jack.
KBS
Dark
or
Lord.
a Dark Lord
Bourbon County
or
Stout.
Bourbon County Stout and stuff like
Is,
that.
was, will be.
So they were always special beers, but I don't know if they were necessarily
The best.
hyped. Yeah, I mean, they
Well,
were just.
But those were all hyped.
Yeah? Yeah, what's up?
I think they were hyped, but there wasn't the platform for the hype in the moment. It was more like a word of mouth hype or like a forum to forum hype. So there just wasn't enough of the social
Stratospheric.
media platform to create these things. But like I knew what Pliny was, and I was told what Pliny was, and when someone came into early pipe works with a Pliny, I was like, I'm about to taste a Pliny. This is amazing. And I was like, this is, it's a good beer, and it's, but you're meant to think that it's more,
I think of the origin of hype as like tying to lines, and which ties into like waiting in line, which ties into like just the difficulty and odds I guess it took to get something.
Investment, your
So,
time,
like,
investment,
dark-
your
like,
emotional investment.
I think
to
of
get
Dark
those things.
Lord even before I think of Bourbon County.
Sure.
For when that line was really beginning and taking place, and that's like what I think. I'm not saying that is the origination of it, but
Sure.
like locally around here, kind of was. And
I think that's probably true. I mean, they're one of the proto hype lords. I mean, it's called hype lord for a reason, And but I do think that some of these were just released through distribution just like every other beer, and then they used to be around for a little while. And then I think people, maybe those same breweries, then started, promoting it. Oh, it's coming out. People really like it. We're going to do something about it. Oh, there you go. I'm going to steal this while he's gone. I'm going to use. Hey, now we all have the mic now. And then I think people started to decode how to, like, what was it about it, trying to break it down and create it, reproduce these beers and reproduce the hype that goes along with them.
I think we could see that in some of the breweries that we know in Chicago, who shall not be named. Notion of creating false scarcity.
Yeah.
And there are formulas for that. There's ways of looking at it, and people just kind of copied each other. Who line culture, the allocations, and the notion of not having enough liquid when there's liquid sitting somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of important to create that hype, to create that interest is okay. I think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's an important part of getting people excited about anything.
I think
because people just don't care about anything. I mean, and to be interested in like an independently produced craft beer, how obscure and weird. It's that kind of niche, kind of demographic or niche interests getting together to celebrate something or get into something or create covetous items, and which then leads to trading, and this whole ecosystem develops around this entire world. And certain breweries, as you know, won the lottery in creating those formulas over and over again.
Yeah.
And those guys, bless them. I'm happy for them. We know how ridiculous and transparently lame it is, right, to us in some ways. But you have to admire their ability to kind of communicate that desire to their customer base.
I mean, sometimes I think some of the places that can do it over and over again, for example, Pliny, I don't think that's lame. I think that's pretty natural that they're doing it.
However, Pliny was Pliny prior to the social media age. They weren't part of a meme culture. They were the word of the mouth. Word of mouth, I think, is different than being hyped, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different.
It's part of it.
I don't know.
But
I think it is.
you think word of mouth is a
I think
form
social
of hype?
media is word of
so.
mouth.
Well, I mean, original. You actually met someone in person prior to the interweb.
You heard their word from their mouth.
Yeah.
Yes. But I still think that's
It's social media.
hype. Yeah.
It's true.
So
what about this hype formula?
then I
Is it
think-
bringing you down?
no, not necessarily. I think that
I mean, you got a hype formula.
everyone
Yes.
has. Everyone's got a game. Everyone's got a game. Isn't that what the guy Logan says in Succession, whatever?
I hope he says
Is this
that.
part of your game, Chris?
I don't know. I watched the show yesterday, and he's like, everyone's got a game.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a
So-
good
It is a
line.
good show.
So
I want a game, Chris.
you've got
Besides
you've got a
Battlefield
game.
2042.
It's Battlefield 20. I was
I
going to
know.
say.
I need something else soon. Anyways, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
You had a great thought, and I ruined it as usual.
It wasn't that good. I think that it became everyone was trying to create false scarcity. I mean, I remember when we opened. Geez, it was 8 years ago now. I would say on the show, rare beer isn't rare. And it's even less rare now because I think there's 9,000 breweries and 8,000 of them are trying to come up with rare releases and kind of generate hype and have like a special beer that they can build, not necessarily a flagship, not make into a flagship, but make into their special event beer. Their beer that gets people to line up either at their festival or an invitational that a beer that might get them invited to a festival, an invitation into a festival or
Overseas, yeah. Like, what is this hot
we
thing?
want the tradable beer. We want the one that's going to blow up on Instagram. That sort of stuff. And I think that's become. I think that's what people are very good at, trying to figure out ways to approximate and come up with different, variations on. And I guess my question is, well, one, I mean, feel free to disagree with anything that I've said up till now. And then two, there's so much now that I think that the chasers are getting fewer and far between, and the people who are still like really into the chase are into stuff that is so esoteric that I go to bottle shares and I know maybe 10% of the beers.
Wow.
Like, and I'm just like, what beer is this? And they're all, talking to it, they're on the first name basis with it, lots of acronyms.
Club only, it has 400 members, and those are the people that know what it is.
Exactly. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's got this here, he's got that there. Wait, you have to try this one. And I was like, oh, yeah. And it is interesting to try these beers with literally no context, because I can't remember one where I was like, whoa, hold on, let me bring that bottle over. I want to see this. What beer is this? Mm-hmm. It's good beer, but it isn't like, So you experienced the extreme kind of results of the hype formula, where the hype formula itself, that notion of scarcity, the marketing of the product, is more important than the actual product itself, right? Where then that experience of being the person who has the exclusive juice, so to say, hangs out with another person who has exclusive juice and another person who has exclusive. Like, that's even more insane club of people. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
it's like, I'm like that with a number of different interests I have too.
Well, I feel like beer, maybe like when we all started, kind of was like still sort of a conduit for, communication, connection, and groups and meeting people. There's a subculture, and there's some concern on one podcast that was like, the subculture is a little bit different now, or it's waning, and I just think it's the same thing. People are just connecting in a different way and more, specific.
The craft beer is a way to come together, right?
So is just the scarcity, or just trying to find these things.
Yeah. You become, the chasers, you call them. That's a fun place to be. That's a fun activity to find the holy grail of beer, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I think a lot of people got in it for the chase at some point. I think some people wanted to do it just to try all these exotic beers. Then I think the chase itself kind of exhilarated some people. I think, with wine and whiskey, bourbon right now, the chase is insane. And I know some people who are stepping out of that just because I think it's easier for the prices to just, double, triple, quadruple, go up tenfold in whiskey, where it can't really do that very easily in beer. Yeah. But I think there's just like a glut of quote unquote special beers that you need a special occasion for. And like all the Bourbon County stuff. There's 8 of those in a set, right? They're 500 mil. That's a sharing portion. How often are you going to share? How many beers are you going to share?
Especially in this age of the Omicron. Omicron, my friend, you are a Bourbon County shared experience ruiner.
It's good that this variant came with a theme song.
Yeah.
Like, it's about time they rolled one out with a theme song, you know? Yeah.
It's hyped. It's hyped.
It's hyped. Yeah,
they're becoming more savvy. They're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, they want to bring another variant out. That's what it is. It's true. Just following the craft beer formula.
They are. It is.
It's reverse engineering what Delta did.
Yes, exactly.
But Chris, I got to say that
Delta's OG, though.
What also has happened is there's 9,000 breweries, and all 9,000 of them need that special event beer. And then the thing is, you just learned about the other breweries cool of special event beer. The other breweries kick-ass XYZ. There's just more to explore. And actually, you will never know anything about what's out there, ever. It'll be impossible for us to know where is that beer that is like the one that you would take a second taste at. And that could be fun for you.
Well, I would love to know what Doug thinks. Do you think that this version of hype, this kind of collectible, gotta run and go get them. Is this? What do you think the state of that type of beer culture is right now in your mind? You oversee one of the hypest ones.
I'd call it, on the decline of the bell curve. On the second half, it's not at the bottom. It's maybe not even halfway to the bottom, but it's on the downward for sure. Do you consider ours the hypest? I mean, we
said one of them.
Yeah, I think it's one of them too.
Because I don't want to make this about us. We really try hard to make enough. And there's really, we're going to release 10 of these this year. And there's really only going to be one of the 10 that is something that's going to be hard to get, as in gone in 2 hours.
I'd like to order one right now.
The rest you will have.
Can I have a 6 still, please?
You will have days to order it. You will find it at the Beer Temple. You will find them at, Binny's, all the other stores.
Reddit.
So for us, the challenge with the hype, to be honest, is when you make a lot of these, you need them to go away relatively soon. Mm-hmm. If they take 3 months to sell out of, say, a barrel-aged beer, that's trouble for that the next time around, because the 9 months until the next season or less is going to come up fast. So we don't try to make things that are gone in an hour. We try to make them so they're gone, and our dream is gone in a week. That'd be amazing,
that's incredible.
because everybody had this window to get it. And if you missed it a week, it's well, sorry, we don't feel too bad. But if you miss it in an hour, it is. I do feel bad when people are like, I didn't. I
just woke up.
It was 8 a.m.
It's a very delicate thing to try to take something from.
And it's impossible to predict how much, because it's changing so fast. And like Chris said, it is getting harder to sell. The amount of beer we thought of a barrel-aged beer we could sell 2 years ago, the way it was going, it's getting harder. And so trying to pin what is that amount that we should make. And there's a fixed amount we can make in total. Within each specific beer, we can flex up and down. But we only have so much space. We are cramped with space. We're out of it. So there's only so much barrel-aged beer we can make. So with us, it's flexing how much of this one to make. Is the coffee one, do we want to make less of that because people are getting it in their head that they should drink the coffee stout within a month, and then the coffee fades? So should we start making less of coffee because people are wanting to either drink that quick and then they're done with it?
Where do you look to find these answers? I have no idea where you would.
There's a lot of instincts that go with it. There's looking at last year, looking at the most recent way things went. But 2020 was not like 2019, and 2021 is only kind of like 2020. So it's extra hard now. It's usually just been very gradual, where the next year is usually a decent size improvement. And now we're at the point where it's getting weird, and so it's hard to say.
You guys have a barrel-aged program that's up there with the best of them. It's one of the hypest, as Chris said. How far in advance do you have to plan that out, right? Or are you just blending to volume, knowing we're going to do this much of coffee or this much of D-Star?
We're pretty much 2 years out with at least 70 to 80% of the releases for the year. There's some that only really need maybe 2 months notice before we're going to brew it, because then we have a year before the packaging needs to be ready and all that. So a few can be more like a little more than a year out, but most we try to be 2 years out.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah. I do want to expand the definition of hype, or clarify that it can also mean the maybe limited availability, seasonal or maybe just limited availability beer, because I think drop shipping was definitely trying to scratch that same itch for breweries, where they were, other half would come into Chicago and do a drop ship, and people would be freaking out, and they'd have an event, and the place was, they had them on draft, and people were going bananas and just buying so much of the beer. I think I would consider that a hype event, even if it was not maybe their most hype stuff. But I think it's trying to kind of tap into that same thing, this rarity, this ephemeral, limited nature of craft beer, and it's getting harder. That's also getting harder to do, the drop ship.
Well, that's
kind of
novelty. I think of that. I mean, hype. I'm not saying hype and novelty aren't somewhat one and the same, but like the other half coming here to me is novelty. It's not like you're buying that because you think this is better than any hazy IPA you could find on the shelf here. It's more like, oh, I have a chance to try this hyped or whatever you want to call it brewery from Brooklyn, and I can actually buy it here for the short window. I'll buy it just because, it's an experience to,
And I think you bring up experience, and really that's almost everything we're trying to do. We want to make sure we host an experience for our customers or fans or community and give them a way to enjoy their existence here on the planet. So hype as a strategy, events, creating products, things, environments are really important just in general for a regular business, any food and beverage business, right? So when you have the event tied with a hyped up beer, that entire experience is what was worth it. So waiting in the line was the thing. Like that, I was there, 6 a.m. I waited X amount of hours. That investment in time and that experience of waiting in line.
Experiential kind of.
And meeting people in line and sharing your crack in line and all that stuff that's why you're there. You wanted to freak out in line. You wanted to be the guy with a chair. You wanted to be the dude that pulled out your Pliny that no one else had. Like, that was fun. You were part of that. You created that experience. So that's part of it as well. I mean, we have to think about events and things that we're doing all the time. Like, it is out of control. Besides Mars, and Maria's and Pizza Fried Chicken and all these, and like Kimski, we have the Co-Prosperity in Chicago, one in New York. I have all these things I'm working on. I don't even know what's going on. I can't even keep track of all the events. And I look at events and go, who made this event? And I'm like, oh, I'm the guy who asked for that event to happen, and I forgot to follow up on that event. So it's really, what we are doing as breweries, we're creating a reason why you are having an event with a large group of people, with your friends, with a couple of people, or by yourself playing Battlefield 2042, right? So we all try to lean into these strategies, right? We all try to do these events. We are all wishing we had the magic hype formula for every situation and size event.
Let me give a hot take here. Just literally came to mind. Perfect time to just put it out there as a thing that's true. No. Do you think some of the, reduced, hypification or just the interest in hyped beers, I think it's on the second half. I don't think it's at the bottom. I'm pretty much agree
on a
with
decline.
Doug. I'd say, it might be approaching halfway down the decline, but maybe not quite there yet. So
maybe for this current hyped group, there'll be another one coming up.
Maybe.
There'll be something next. There's going to always be the next thing.
But do you think that I know that one of the elements that happened was the hypest beers, the most limited beers, a trend, not always. I think a big exception to the rule is Rev, very purposefully so, was to keep it in the distribution channels, but a lot of them pulled back. Half Acre, for example, like Big Hugs and Benthic and stuff like that. The most rare types are brewery only releases, and have been for years.
Yeah, but
and a lot of breweries are now doing that, which makes financial sense. I'm not blaming them.
You have to do that if you don't have a supply.
You're missing. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it or that it's not a good financial decision. What I'm proposing is, do you think the person who does buy their beer at a grocery store or a liquor store and doesn't stay up on what beer releases, they don't have the beer release calendar, handy, so they don't see those hypest beers come through. Where they do see it anymore, it loses interest to them, and then maybe could that have maybe accelerated it? I don't know. The hype beer isn't where people can. Maybe it's a little too difficult to get for some people. I don't know. I literally just thought of that right now.
I think the idea of hype we've created is only exists in people that are paying attention to those breweries pretty directly, right? And so no one's being like, I didn't get that at Jewel, so I'm now excited about it now. So I think that a lot of what the hype that we've defined is that these people are paying attention to the brewery because of their social media or email list or whatever it is. And so it's a more personal relationship with that brewery.
I think a great example of hype fizzling out was Not Your Father's ham sandwich, right? People were freaking out that this weird root beer. What was it? See, it's so faded from my mind right now. What was the flavor?
It's like a
Not Your
it's
Father's
like a, no,
root
it's
beer.
like a root beer, but like not for your dad.
Yeah, Not Your
That's
Father.
how I would define it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I'm in like Kentucky on a like 1-lane road by a gas station that has the dustiest beer on earth, and there's 50 12-packs, 50 cases of Not Your Father's root beer. It loses the hype when the scarcity is gone. You're no longer interested in it because I saw it at the gas station on a 1-lane road in Kentucky on my way home from Disney World, right? I no longer want this crappy beer because it no longer is hard to find, right? Is that part of the hype cycle? You can overhype where there's no more demand. You killed your goose.
Well, part of it's about presentation of demand, right? To make it seem like it's something that's incredibly desirable, irregardless, or that's not a word, regardless of the actual supply. Like that's part of what hype is, right? Is that to present that it's hard to get or present that it's something that you can't have, right?
But it doesn't always work. I mean, for example, I have only 40 copies of the Quarantine Times book I made. Does anyone really want to buy a copy? No.
There's not that many of them, though.
But no one wants them. My whole life is about making small, limited quantities of objects and things that nobody wants.
Right, but the
know what I mean?
idea of hype is that there's less of it than we can get to people. Like
They
what
want
makes
tie-dyes.
those things.
I think one of the attractive things to craft beer for so many people and its tie-in to social media is the ability, and Ed, you were kind of hitting on this a little bit ago, but the connectivity it can give you and how like at any time of night you could just crack open a beer, especially if it's a beer that would generate conversation, which can be a rarer beer. And there's probably some Facebook group you can be in, or Untapped if you've like connected with some friends or internet friends on there, or all these other venues. There's somewhere, even if it's 10 p.m. at night, where you can post on that and get a conversation going, and all of a sudden feel connected to people that nerd out over this in the way you do. But if it's a beer like a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale that you can get at any grocery store, there's less to talk about, especially, you know. But if it's something that's like hard to get, now all of a sudden you've got a conversation starter. Now you're connected with people who want to know, ooh, how is that? I saw that somewhere. And it's this like fun little metaverse that you can play in your own, in all these different ways. And that's where the hype and the rarity makes it fun. And it's why we call this a hobby and not just like a thing we buy at the store, like our toothpaste. And I think that's part of the fun of it. And that's why people want the rarity. And that's why I admittedly less than ever, but still occasionally would deal with bringing Pliny the Elder in my suitcase back last week versus being like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, but
like, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Those things are fun. Smuggling beer in your bags is the greatest
that's
thing.
the most fun
That's
thing
the
you
greatest
can do.
thing we could ever do.
Smuggling in general,
You know?
let's say.
It's the best feeling, and it's the coolest thing on earth. And you're right. It really goes down to that experience with that beverage. Where does that beverage bring you to another human being?
And the beverage,
that's it. That's all it is.
The beverage,
all beer is, by the way.
the beverage in this situation being the liquid, the way it looks on like the label, the experience you have with the people around it, the things you did to get it, like that is all encompassing in what the hype thing we're talking about is. All that stuff is imbued into the, I don't know, for lack of the art object, the beverage, the finite amount of thing you have.
Yeah, or you support a beverage or a thing or an item because you know by supporting that thing you're supporting something else. You're a participant in creating other things or they think. You know, it's which is really important to us when we live in this kind of like. Let me just get all Carl Edmar here. You know, we live in this kind of like monocultural freakout age of the consolidation of everything happens at whatever, super fast. Amazonification of everyone just wants immediate stuff. You had to deal with the crisis as a small business owner to make sure that those products got to the goddamn customer immediately, or they drop your ass like that next time. Because we're used to Prime, we're used to same day, we're used to this. I don't know, this age of like instant gratification that's just, I don't know. It's great in some ways. Like, I want some pet food delivered to the house now.
I just signed up.
I don't want to do it. But anyways, I don't even know what my point is. The point, I guess what I'm trying to say is that that's all we have is you, Chris.
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? Like, because here, it also reminds me of another thing. Like, why is the Beer Temple consistently rated one of the best places on earth?
Hype.
No. It started with you actually are authentic. You actually care about the liquid. You care about all forms of liquid. You care about the design of your bar. You care about the environment. People from out of town know that if they came here, they're coming to one of the spots in Chicago for drinking. They know that this is a special place with special things for sale. They know that they're going to get it here. And I go to if we leave town, we know our friends are going to tell us to go to XYZ place because our friend networks are going to tell us where to go for the special thing because we have limited time on this planet, right? So we want to enjoy these places that are special.
That's a special place. I don't know if that's necessarily a hyped place. And now I'm trying to.
It's not hype. It's not hype. So authenticity is different than hype, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think maybe with other beverages like wine and stuff.
Wow.
Exclusivity can be found in, like, from the monetary, from the cost.
Affordability.
And beer does not have that ability as much, so they have to limit it in the Scotch can certainly do it with that, too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Macallan is like
natural
brand
wines are a new solution to creating desire and scarcity in the wine world, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, and you see brewers going there. Our buddies going to
Wild beers, yeah.
You know?
Wild beers, sour beers, similar track to natural wines in that way.
Mm-hmm. And maybe
we're about
beer
to
is just
check.
by
We're going to double the
limiting how
pricing
much
of our
it is.
wild beers now. Anything with blend in it in a fooder.
Perfect.
Anything in wood is just triple
You're right
the
on
price
time
tonight.
with that. You're right on time with that. It's going to go really well, I think.
Yeah.
Make one bottle, $1 million.
Yeah.
Done. NFT. Put an NFT in
And
it.
it's an
Slap
NFT.
it. Slap an NFT
Each
on it.
label is an NFT, by the way.
So, I mean, there always will be special beers that are more special to people who are really into beer than other beers. But if making these limited special releases in the hopes that they kind of blow up and help make a name for your brand or help kind of grow your brand or something like that, if that's not really a feasible.
What do you mean? You're saying my double stuff Oreo with Captain Crunch adjunct stout is not going to a good business model for me to pursue?
Well, let's say
adding
in
Crunch
some
berries in the
point
next one?
it becomes not a good business model. Then what's then
Maybe then
left?
I could make beer.
Well, I mean, it's also funny you bring up Oreos because Oreos is doing like the beer thing. It's not just a beer thing, I guess. It's just like more iterative in general.
Oh, no.
But Oreos is making
Genius.
like cinnamon roll, birthday cake, like special release Lady
They're
Gaga
long-
Oreo.
they're like-
Collaborations.
They're long tail.
It's not just beer doing this. Like
really
it's
need it.
it's consumer goods in general. Like how do we get people to buy our thing versus a different thing?
It needs to go full circle of an Oreo flavored, an Oreo craft beer. How
That's
would that
already
be?
happened.
Craft beer flavored Oreo.
That's flavored like an Oreo.
Like a hazy IPA Oreo.
Yeah.
It's an Oreo that's flavored like a Two-Hearted. Like
That would be
then-
incredible.
It has
It's
to go
flavored
full
like a
circle.
Hydrox. It's like mind blowing.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that would
Oreo.
actually-
That yeah.
That would burn a lot of bridges. People.
So
would have
I
to-
was on the Adidas website just buying some stuff for my kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
And they have
Oreo shoes.
yes. No, but they have tons of collaborations.
Oh, yeah.
Tons and tons that go after every little specific market. And I saw this one really cool corduroy tracksuit jacket.
Ooh.
And shorts. I was like,
What
I'm not going to
color?
rock
Do
a
it.
tracksuit with shorts.
You could do it, Chris.
Yeah.
You would look hot as hell.
I know.
That's why
Corduroy
people come
shorts?
to the beer temple.
So but here's the thing. Only one color, only one size, just the size. This is the size it is, and they give you the height, like chest width, and of the model. The model is this tall and is a size medium.
Sure, it
is
wasn't
chest
like
and
the
this and this.
last item in the batch.
No. And I was on the desktop thing. It says if you were trying to like add to cart, it was you can only buy this through our app. Download our app, and then you can buy it on our shopping cart that way.
The power of Adidas. Yeah, well, there's people
Just a couple hours ago, right before the whole world exploded, and I had to run down into the bowels of
Maybe
FedEx.
it's not a craft beer thing. Maybe it's just
Consumer.
marketing. This is
Yeah.
marketing we're talking
Marketing.
about.
No, I'm not saying that hype is a beer thing, but I'm saying in the beer world,
Yes.
if hype is on the decline, what does that look like afterwards?
No, hype is not on the decline. No. Every 9,000 breweries have to hype their shit.
Hype is diluted. Hype is diluted.
I think they
Diluted.
I think every
a better
brewery
word.
can do what they're
Hype
doing.
attention spans diluted.
I think breweries can do what they're doing. They just probably need to settle down on how much they make, and probably can't make what they thought they were going to be able to make 2-3 years ago. They probably thought this was going to keep going, and they might actually need to be like, we could still release this beer. We just maybe need to make half as much as
You
we
can't have
thought we
9,000
were.
invitationals.
Right.
You can't have 9,000 invitationals.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you can't have 9,000 invitationals in 1 year?
You also only make that mistake maybe once. You make too much of something,
Well, Chris,
and then it just sits
You
there.
just missed the Winter IPA Invitational
Oh yeah, you're
that's
invited.
happening.
Chris.
That's happening at a hotel in town this late January.
Frigid.
Speaking of
I can't wait.
invitationals, we should probably invite them, right?
It's the Bridgeport of beer styles.
No. It's what you mean in terms of it being like a future,
The style of the future.
the style of the future. Yeah,
course.
the beer
Of
style.
course,
the
that's what
future.
I mean.
Yeah.
There's an area of the hype beer that I wanted to hit on, if that's cool. It's just kind of a part of it that I've found interesting as I've just absorbed a lot from our own barrel program. Is like I hear a million times at a release party, people go to Marty, who runs our barrel program, and everybody asks him the same kind of question, like, "Hey, are you guys ever gonna do Death Star in a Pappy barrel or something like that?"
Jesus.
He gets that question, poor guy,
I love it.
all the time.
And?
But I remember asking, I asked him that like my first month at the company, and I got the same answer that he's telling people today, which is fascinating to me, that you don't hear from other brewers around the country, and I've heard many say the opposite. But like Marty will tell you, he would say, why would I want a Pappy 20 barrel where the spirit has had 20 years to take all the wood that barrel has to offer it? All I'm getting is a stripped down barrel that I'm hoping is still wet, and it's probably not, that has like a little bit of that Pappy
Booze.
20 left, and that's all I'm really selling on. So I'm really selling a story here and nothing else.
Yep.
And that's just always like stuck with me. And Marty said, I'd rather have like a pristine 4 to 6 year barrel
Yep.
from Buffalo Trace than I would a Pappy 20 barrel, because I think the final product would taste way better. And even though we could charge $100 a 4-pack of these beers, they don't want to do that, so we've never even
And
tried.
isn't it impolite to actually state what brand barrel you're? There was a moment where it was like you don't talk about what the barrel was. It was not cool to do that until those distillers themselves said it was cool to use their name as part of your marketing package.
And shape your box like the bottle.
I think the
all
big
that sort of
difference, Ed, is like using their logo on the packaging and building their name into the brand name is a problem without their permission. But in the description, if
Yep.
you say it was aged in these barrels, I think that's fair game.
Yeah.
So
I just remember that being an issue. Like you're not supposed to use their brands those way unless you do it with them knowing. You know, and you're talking to the guy who constantly violates brands and trademarks, every month.
You might be the expert at this point.
But
well, real quick, my point was like most beer fans would not
They would never register
resonate.
that.
They'd be like, no, I want the Pappy
Yeah.
20 version. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
If the brewmaster or the whoever leads the barrel program is saying like, no, trust me, this will taste better, people are like, I want the Pappy
It's a
version.
mean, it's
lateral move from
part of the
super
experience,
premium
though,
to
right?
super
Yeah.
premium.
To
Yeah.
feel like you're drinking something that's super special will make you think it tastes better, and then it will taste better because the way things taste in your brain has to do with how well you value them plus what you're experiencing. So, I mean,
It's fascinating.
he's technically right about what the liquid would give off if you taste it blind. But
Are you a hype brewer, Mike?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
biggest
Oh,
hype
he
brewer.
started in the hype brewery business. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus. You ever hear of a little brewery called Pipeworks? Oh, sorry about that.
Oh.
But you know,
We probably were. I didn't understand line culture, and probably to our detriment, we tried to make barrel-aged beers more democratic and available. We just would email people that are on our email list, and then the friends met people, and just kind of put it out. Specifically because I was like, I don't get why this. I don't know how this would enhance your experience.
Well,
and so I'm the worst person to talk to about
Yeah,
this.
you're
I
not
think
a line
that
culture
probably
expert.
hindered some of the
you ruined the
rarity.
brewery. There's a reason why you're not at Pipeworks
Well,
right now.
that amongst many other
You've just-
things, I probably ruined the brewery.
We're
Yeah.
only making 5 cases now, and that's it.
Ooh, and they're $2,000 a bottle.
6,000 now. Wow. Yeah.
But now, what about
gone
what about the dirty, dark parts of this barrel aging with certain brands of whiskey? Is it true that some breweries just throw a little whiskey in their beer?
I'm sure it's well, the barrels, they want wet barrels for sure.
Well, besides what's in the barrel, are breweries doing that?
Well, I also
Are you asking permission right now?
I don't know. I don't know if breweries are doing that, but
we
but there
just
is
agree to do that?
Are we going to do that?
there has been a with the ascendancy of bourbon as like a incredibly expensive commodity from the time I started in this to the time we are now. There has been a change in practice of dumping in the dump house and rinsing and how intensely they rinse. So, not
But
saying
can't we just
not to say that
dose-
anyone's no. Well,
Can we dose those barrel aged beers with a little bit of excitement?
Can we just buy a
sure, but I mean, beers. The reason that some
Pappy
beers
infused.
wait, say that again.
is literally unable to speak because of this.
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Are we just buying bottles?
Yeah. I think
I'm just gonna rate. I live upstairs. I just put a hole in the floor, go into the whiskey room, just start dumping some, 10
been a
year.
long day.
What do you want? You got some?
Yeah.
You got some Rittenhouse here? We'll just do.
You
got
just
some
brimming
barrel
with
strength
excitement,
Rittenhouse,
Yeah.
and I have a doser now. I mentioned the doser, right?
Yes.
I could put a perfect dose of whiskey in each can.
Exactly. I can perfectly dump a bottle into this barrel.
Are we doing this? Are we doing it?
Yeah. So we all agree we're doing it, right? It's now a thing.
Next trend: whiskey dosed beer.
Yeah. Heaven Hill barrels with Pappy Van Winkle added.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
17-year Heaven with 20-year Pappy.
You don't have to say. You don't even have to really have
You
done
get
it,
1
though.
milliliter per case.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do a dropper in it. I mean, it's in there.
Maybe we should dose some rare mezcal in the saison world.
Yeah. I will say about what you were saying about the Pappy barrel versus other barrels, and people are going to want to go for it. I think probably most people would be there. And if you had a whole bunch of whiskeys,
Well, what was
a bunch of
brand?
like
What was that brand
Pappy
out of the
Van
west, out of the West Coast that always labeled the purple wax
50-50 or Eclipse.
50-50
Yeah.
Eclipse, all about which barrel it was in, all about which whiskey barrels they were using.
Yeah.
Where are they today? Where is
Yeah,
that beer?
sitting on my shelf for years.
Seriously, where is that beer?
On my shelf right now, sitting there.
Because they
You can
told
go get it.
10,000 other breweries to do the same damn thing.
Yeah. No, they did. But I will say nobody is immune to that sort of thing. Because if there was like Pappy Van Winkle sitting out there and some whiskey expert was like, this is the worst one here. There's also on all these things that you didn't know. And then he says, I'll be right back. Try whichever one you want. Before anyone saw you going for it and looking uncool, you would go to the Pappy.
Well,
you would try it. And then you'd be like, okay. And then when he came back, like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one I want still.
Well, that's
we
why
would all do that.
That's why Mars is developing this. We've been working on it for 20 years now. The Pappy Van Edmar.
Ooh, I like it.
Barrel. It's our whiskey line is coming out. The Pappy Van Edmar is we have an 18-year, we have a 10-year,
Nice.
17-year.
You've been working on it for a long
Pappy
time.
Van Edmar.
What kind
Look
of
for
barrels?
it.
What kind of barrels have you been aging? in?
We've been aging them in Pappy Van Winkle barrels,
Oh,
actually.
see, that's
We
good.
double age
Oh.
them. We take the 20 years, and then we age them again for 20 years more. We
Nice.
soak up that Pappy juice. And the wood is so dry when we empty them that there's actually no liquid in them. It's incredible.
Sawdust.
That's
Sawdust.
good.
It's
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
And that air is worth a lot. That Angel's share is worth a lot.
It's a perfume.
If you don't make a beer called Pappy Van Edmar,
Yeah.
you're making a huge mistake.
Oh, obviously.
Huge.
Well, we're gonna
mistake.
be aging it in the Pappy Van Edmar barrels.
Yeah.
It'll be Pappy Van Edmar.
Yeah. Aged in Pappy, you should say, aged in Pappy Van Edmar barrels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should.
I will. This
Please,
year,
please.
Chris, for you, I will.
we
Thank
have
you.
a lot of plans.
Didn't
now.
I promise someone that I was going to make the Mars Instant Oats on this show, and then I did, and I got a cease and desist for doing that?
Oh, good. I can't
Wasn't that
imagine
one of
why.
you guys who told me to do the Mars Instant Oats, or was that my own bad idea?
I don't
It was
know.
not me.
Was it Kate?
It
I
wasn't
fully
me.
support this idea, though.
Did you see it? Oh, the Pappy Van
yeah.
Edmar.
I think it's
Or the
fantastic.
Mars Instant Oats.
Both.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back.
The
One
Kool-Aid
bottle.
Man.
One bottle aged in Pappy Van Edmar
Need
bottles.
to make an
barrels.
oatmeal stout, a barrel-aged oatmeal
No,
stout.
age in a Pappy Van Edmar barrel. Bottle. So age in a Pappy Van Edmar barrel, which is the bottle it's in, meaning
The bottle is aged.
that's what it's in. It's aged in this bottle, as you can see. Watch it aging.
Is this a lesson in hype right now? Did we just go from
I
hype
think we
formula
are.
analysis into hype?
I will tell you one
Lessons in
thing.
hype.
If I saw a bottle of Pappy Van Edmar aged in Pappy Van Edmar bottles, I would.
I'm gonna buy one.
There's few things that would prevent me from making sure I
Okay.
got some.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Chris, and I guarantee you heard tonight, folks. You heard it wherever you are. Tonight, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna email my team,
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
check on the barrels,
Yeah.
and we are gonna
bottles.
The bottles.
The bottles.
Check on the bottles. We are gonna make.
How are the bottles doing?
We are going to make a limited edition Pappy Van Edmar whiskey, and it's going to come out, and your store, and Mars,
And the most hyped stores.
and only the most hyped stores
Are going to get it.
are going to get this Pappy Van Edmar, and it'll be barrel proof. No, it won't. It'll be 87. It'll be 80 to 89 proof.
I think you should make sure you pick the
This
bottles.
is a big moment right here for me. The Pappy Van Edmar is validated on the show.
The bottles, and you have to state how the bottles were picked from the choicest part of the warehouse.
glass.
Yeah.
Choicest
We-
part of the warehouse.
The bottles, we picked our bottles. We sourced our bottles from the best part of our warehouse.
I'm going to listen to this
Forged.
podcast.
Yeah.
Foraged.
Need that word.
Hand capped.
Yeah, hand capped by our machine.
And labeled.
And label.
And the label will
By
look
our machine.
suspiciously like the color scheme
Yeah.
of other labels.
Yeah. Are you going to have Pappy Van Edmar 12, Pappy Van
Yeah,
Edmar?
12, 18, 20
Yeah.
Yeah.
With no reference to what that means.
Exactly.
Just 12, 20, and 23.
This is- King Kona would be so proud of you right now, Chris.
Yeah.
This is how.
What's your favorite? I like I like the Pappy Van Edmar 12. I mean, you call me basic.
I like the caramel notes in the 20, personally.
Yeah.
I think the glass
The
really
glass
comes
is
out.
older.
You really taste the glass.
The glass really comes through. You lose there's too much glass in the 23.
Yeah.
It's all you taste is the
I
glass.
can't wait to make this happen.
I
This
cannot
is gonna
wait.
be the best thing ever one could do with their distiller's license.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It really is.
You could just do a beer too, just called Pappy Van Edmar.
No, that'll be a Pappy Van Edmar aged beer.
Got it.
Oatmeal stout.
Yeah, with the oatmeal that you...
If you make a whiskey, you will be C&D'd so fast. You might be able to get away with
Oh,
beer
no.
though.
Oh, no. Pappy Van Edmar is happening.
All right.
You watch.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
What? You never heard of the Dutch explorer, Pappy Van Edmar family?
Yeah.
The Korean Dutch family that made...
I've heard of them.
They traded
I've
in,
heard of them.
They traded in like Gochujang from the spice trade
Yeah.
with the Dutch East India Company when they were out in Asia.
Yeah. Big,
Everyone knows
And the
this.
Van Edmars,
Sailors. They were sailors.
The Van Edmars were forced to open an office in Rotterdam, I believe it was the town.
No, that's
back
right.
in 1796, I think.
Yeah, at least I was going to
My
say.
great grandpappy Edmar was one of the first people to use glass to drink out of,
Which he forged.
and he forged that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, this is classic.
he was known for the quality of the glass he aged his spirit in, and that's really how he made his name.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard back then too because the Dutch were only drinking gin. You know, Genever this, Genever that. They're like whiskey. What?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Yeah.
But your grandpappy,
Grandpappy Van Edmar.
that's good.
I can't wait to see this.
I'm gonna.
Happen.
I'll be
You need to have a
texting you.
picture. You need to have a
Please.
picture
I'll be
of you
sharing-
sitting in a chair, smoking a vape pen, and
You
on,
are going
on
to
the
be
label.
there. You're going to be there for the shoot, Chris. This
your
is all
gamer
for
chair.
you. You get the first case.
Yeah, in a
Hand
gamer
si-
chair with a vape pen.
Yeah.
Hand signed.
That would be amazing.
Or how about a bong?
Yeah. Yeah. A gamer chair
holding a water
bong.
bong.
Holding a water bong in a gamer chair.
Classic Pappy.
Classic 20 years.
Classic.
So, hey,
classic.
I think we ruined the show. So
okay.
I'm not sure if you're going to edit this out, but
I love
had a
ruined shows.
great-
Ruined shows are some of my favorites.
This is great. It's a great thing. I love this. I love these. This gives me purpose.
I don't know if it was brought up when the show started, so I apologize if it's repeating. But I've been so excited to have the Trollumvirate, as we call ourselves offline. Are we allowed to say that, or does that have to be edited
Hey,
out? Okay.
No one's on that thread besides us.
Yeah. So
As far as I know.
yeah. So it's been awesome. Finally, it's
long
happened.
time.
Yeah. It happened, and then
Oh,
I had to
Omicron,
leave.
my friend.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it last 2 years longer.
See, I think of
hope I
like
see you
a Transformer when I hear Omicron, like Omicron Prime. I'm like,
You
I'm
don't
waiting
hear-
for.
Do 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 do.
Got it.
You don't hear Jethro Tull whenever you hear that word?
Omicron, my friend. Yeah.
First thing that came into my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this
Viral load is running down his nose. Got it.
No.
Yeah. Got it.
You
I got it.
See, that's another thing we could do. Start a new karaoke band.
Yeah. I love it.
Future. You know, I can't wait till the Beer Temple turns into the karaoke lounge in
Yes.
Land Gaming Center that I've been trying to establish
Yeah.
here. Doing land gaming upstairs by myself is cool,
Yeah.
but you know, if I
It's the core of what land
Yeah.
gaming's all about is when you're
If-
by yourself.
if I could introduce it to the D&D people, then I think we got something going on.
I don't know if I know what
Yeah.
land gaming.
LAN.
Local area network.
It's when you have a network of,
right.
of
Okay, I
people
have
all
heard
in the
of this.
same room.
Okay, I have
So
heard
when
of
you're by
this.
yourself, it's like
you
the
landed
best.
in college,
Right,
right?
yeah.
You played Halo?
I played Halo.
Yeah. I
Got
know
it.
I know Doug played Halo. In
But this is a new thing, gaming on
GoldenEye.
land.
I was a GoldenEye guy.
Yeah.
No. The screen was
Yeah,
split
four
four ways,
ways.
baby. Neither was
Ooh,
neither was
new
Halo.
controversial topic.
That was.
Yeah, good.
Wow. All right, well there you go.
Next one.
There you go. You can do that. Okay. Well, that's really cool.
Hey, let me-
Everyone
let
brings
me-
their own Xbox over.
I've been talking this whole time. Let me just tell you one last thing. Something special tonight. I'm with my daughter. I pick her up after school today, and we're like, "Oh, let's go out and get some food." And I was like, "Let's just go to PQ and pick up some bread and get a couple sandwiches." We go there, closed. She's like, "Oh, maybe we can go to the Timeout Market." Like, okay, so we drive, and I park in front of Aesop. Have you guys familiar with Aesop, the brand of soap, which is the most hyped soap on earth? Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with this.
I'm familiar with
They
the
are out of
financial
soap.
term.
They're out of soap, right? Do you know that? You cannot get their shampoo or conditioner. Go in there, buy some toothpaste, buy the dog some pet shampoo. And we walk out, and we're about to walk over to the Timeout Market, and Ruby's like, "Oh, this place looks nice. Let's go in here instead." Like, "Oh, it does look nice in there, but it looks a little busy. We'll go inside." So I just walk in the door. I'm like, "Hey, I'd like to. Can we eat here today? I mean, it looks like you're busy, but do you have room for two? Oh, you don't have a reservation. This place is booked for 2 months."
Is it rosemary?
Rosemary.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" They're like,
Southside.
like,
He's a Southsider.
I'm like,
and I went there.
whoa.
He's a Barnabas guy, I think, or CK.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll love this then. You called it already. I did not really register that I was in this place. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. What about the bar? It's like, no, you have to be over 21 to sit at the bar. I'm like, oh, my daughter's, well, okay, well, that's cool. No big deal. She's like, well, let me take a look. She looked at Ruby. Probably felt guilty. I'm not sure what the hell's happening. Looked at Ruby. She's like, let me look. I'm like, I can't really wait. We're going to do it now because I have to bring, we got to eat now. So don't worry about it. It's like, oh, no. We have a place for you for two. I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, wow, cool. So we walk in. We're sitting down, hanging out, looking around. Food's looking good. It's looking really busy. All of a sudden, the chef says, Edmar? I'm like, holy shit, what's going on, man? And I see the chef, and we start talking. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Roseberry.
Sorry, I gave away. I didn't realize that this was
Right.
leading to this moment. I'm sorry.
So, anyways, we went there, and
So for the idiots who don't know what that is, what is rosemary?
Joe is like was a winner of Top Chef, right?
Got it.
Like how many years ago?
I don't know. Maybe
Southside dude, total Chicagoan, awesome guy.
Got it.
Opened up a restaurant, of course, in the middle of this horror. Happens to be in the West Loop. It's one of the hottest, most sought after reservations in the city of Chicago right now.
So would they have a picture of you in the by the hostess? Like if you see this man, let him
Ruby.
in.
I think they saw Ruby.
How do they know it was you? How?
I don't think they knew it was me. This
But
is the
how
thing,
did the
guys.
chef recognize Edmar from the
They
front?
did not know it was me.
Oh.
They did not know it was me until I was sitting down there, and then I saw. He's like, "Dude, I didn't even know you were coming here." I'm like, "Dude, we just got in. This is nuts. Thank you. Like, this is crazy." I honestly didn't even know I was at your restaurant. I was just walking by the window, and Ruby's like, "This looks like a nice place. Let's go in here." So then we ordered food, and Ruby ordered crudo beets. We over ordered together. It was beautiful. We just over ordered. Everything was insanely delicious. And then I'm sitting there eating, and I look at the table to my right. Mars beer, a can of Mars beer. And I'm like,
Hell
what
yeah.
is going on here? It was like incredible. I went to the people next, like, you're drinking my beer. They're laughing. They're like, oh my God, you make this beer. I'm like, oh, I love this beer. I'm like, where am I? Why am I here? The food was incredible. It's Croatian, Italian, hybrid cuisine. And I'm eating this. I know them as cevapcici. He calls it cevap. I guess it's the same thing. And I'm eating this cevap, and I'm like, all of a sudden, transported back in time
To Croatia.
I'm on a train going through Yugoslavia, eating and stopping in Belgrade, going in the street food, eating fucking cevapcici, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God. And we're just sitting there with my daughter. She's eating crudo. She's just gobbling up all this food, and I'm eating beef cheek gnocchi. I'm like, wow, this kid is amazing. And it's so nice. And then the waiter I knew from Avec, and it was just a beautiful moment. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, when's the last time I've had my mind and taste buds blown like this? Years. Like us, seeing you guys, the joy you provide me with being in the same room. Years of not feeling that way, right? These things have to happen more. Sitting around the round table having a beer, going out to a great restaurant with your kids, your families, your friends. You need to go out and do that. Most of you listeners, most of you people are probably doing that, but that was a lesson for me. The best thing I could possibly do in my life right now is to go out and have a great meal with your family or friends and just enjoy the meal. Enjoy the time. Because what else is there? Nothing. Except for maybe Aesop shampoo or conditioner, which is currently out of stock.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
That's a good, yeah.
Isn't that just crazy though? But it was such a great that nostalgia thing,
moment.
the food memory,
So
it all happened.
I think I've been to one nice restaurant since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And it was Rosemary.
No.
My wife is Bosnian, so same
God.
food.
Exactly.
So we went there. It was incredible. I ran into Aaron from Dark Matter, and don't know him too well, but we do projects with him at work. So I probably had the longest conversation I ever had with him. And just had an amazing time, and that was like the most normal I've felt in a year and a half. Was that like time in Rosemary? So it was hilarious.
Isn't
listening
that
to
great?
Because I was just
Funny.
It really was great. So they really made it happen.
Cevapcici is just the shortened way to say cevapcici.
Yeah. So I and their cevap was delicious with that
great.
bread. I didn't have the pork ribs, but man, I'm telling you guys, just
Go
go
through
out.
the whole menu, man. Just do it.
Just go out and eat. But Ruby ordered everything, which was the best. She's following her dad to
How
a
old is
T.
Ruby now?
11. She just knows. I'm ordering
insane.
everything.
It's crazy.
It was beautiful. I had a beautiful night. And I wanted to tell you that story earlier. I thought I would, and I'm glad I could tell it now, and you can edit it out. But it really is.
Ed, you do know this show, right? You know that.
Well, this is way over broadcastable time on WLPN.
Oh,
So.
someone will edit it out.
Yeah.
It won't be me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I just
Yeah.
upload it.
But anyways,
on the web.
I think you know what I'm talking about, and that was the best thing I've done. That was the most normal I've felt.
Sounds
you said,
like
year and a half.
an anecdote to the existential crisis from the part 1 of this podcast.
Ooh, I missed it. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The doom and gloom
I
is
broke
just...
Don't
down.
bring me down, baby.
No, you're our optimistic friend. We've
That's right.
really
You know what? If I'm
realized-
known for being one thing, it's optimistic.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
It's true.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, people always laugh after I say that too, which is just it really drives the point home that I'm just
You
kind
remember
of
it. The laughter reinforces it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
But Doug, whenever you want to go, we're going.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay.
You're not going. No, I'll sit in the table.
Okay.
Over.
Okay.
And I'll be the guy who's like, they're like, Edmar, Doug. And I'm like, hey, oh. And then I'll put my hand down and, like, hey, that's cool. I was just, no, I'm fine. I don't need any more water. It's okay.
Yes.
And then,
Really made my whole, month.
good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, listen, you guys.
What are we going to do? You're the host now, man. How are we closing this thing out?
I think we got to just maybe give some, minor kind of wishes or predictions about what we think might be happening year end or as we transition into 2020. Is this the wrong show for that?
It's the wrong show for that, but you can do it if you want. I mean, you're the host now.
2022, Chris.
Because
I want you to think
Doug's
about.
going to be on the show, so.
I know I didn't make that cut.
No one else has been offered
No.
to
I
be
can't-
on because no one else has asked.
I can't make a prediction. So that's my prediction.
Well, that's lame that
too
you're
much-
bringing that up. That's not okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what I predict?
What do you predict?
I put myself on the spot with this whole segment.
Yeah, you
I
really
really
did.
did. I really
You had any segment, you had anything. You
I
could have
could've
said,
said
I just think
anything.
I want to say,
What's your favorite Fruit Loop?
or nothing. Be like, hey, guys, what a great show.
Yeah,
You
no.
could have just, no. We're going to have to make predictions
I'm
for
on
the future.
I'm on the high.
Nostradamus
I'm
over
on the
here.
high of crudo, cevapcici, rigatoni in my tummy, right? Mm-hmm. And half a Pliny, and a Wookie Jack around my soul.
That
just wanna
Wookie
keep it
Jack
going.
it's really delicious.
Yeah.
I've been
Predictions,
really
though?
enjoying that.
Yeah, you took the whole can.
I didn't know if it wasn't for me.
Here's the
sorry.
prediction. One of the best.
It was handed to me.
One of the best winter festivals you'll ever go to is the Winter IPA Festival, late January.
Oh, yeah.
With Revolution, Pipeworks, Mars, and maybe we'll invite those guys from the suburbs.
And his was.
So,
Nice.
Chris, you missed this, but
You coming? You got a Winter IPA? You got the spruce?
The
Throw some
agenda-
hops in there? Are you in? Okay, fine. Is in.
The agenda for the Mars, this can be my closing. The agenda for the Mars team meeting tomorrow. Item number 1, to get an easy win first, is Edmar is getting a Mr. Freeze suit to match Arnold Schwarzenegger from the original Batman and Robin movie to promote his upcoming winter IPA.
Yeah.
He's going to dress up as Mr. Freeze.
Yep, I'm going to do
Got
that.
it.
I
And
got
then
that.
number 2
What about
is
Mr. Plow? It might be a cheaper.
Mr. Freeze. What, I'm not
No,
worth
no. You do your thing. You do your thing.
This is
Sorry.
coming from Doug, so
and then
he's
number
really
2,
Yeah.
number
I
2
want to question that.
bigger topic
The heroes.
is obviously Pappy Van.
Happy Van Edmar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want a bottle. I want a complete, at least one
Set.
complete set.
Yeah.
I want Happy Van Edmar 12, or it should be. Should it be 13, 21, and 24
Odd
or
numbers.
something?
Odd numbers.
Yeah,
Do a half
all just
year.
weird numbers.
11, 13, 19.
And a half quarter.
Yeah, yeah. Happy Van Edmar 19, classic. It's what I want in a 19-year.
Or 19
Gla-
number.
Yeah, in a 19.
A
In a 19. It's what I want in a 19. What more could you
Kate,
want?
You got predictions?
Just that Pappy Van Edmar is about to be the hottest, hypiest,
Whiskey.
glass-aged
Whiskey.
liquid.
Is it? It's you're going whiskey with it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I just said liquid.
Bourbon.
You know, it's
Liquid.
open.
Liquid.
It's open.
You're right.
you know,
Okay.
that's my prediction.
Liquid.
Is just that it's gonna be liquid.
Liquid.
Liquid D. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make it a little more
Liquidy.
vague.
Exactly. Liquid like. My prediction is that Pappy Van Edmar will be made.
Yep.
I will procure some, and I will
Spoken like a true hype retailer.
and I will consume it in the
On this show.
impulse buy burgundy velour tracksuit
Whoa.
that I bought today while shopping for my children on Adidas.
You bought the burgundy suit, though.
So how's that?
Yeah, so it's easy to predict that I'll be drinking Pappy Van Edmar in that because I doubt I'll wear anything else ever now that once I obtain that.
Send me a link. I want to, I could just go downstairs or go next door and borrow it from you, but
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Yeah, just say we need. Yeah,
I think the Trollumvirate actually needs matching tracksuits.
Yeah.
It would be a wonderful Christmas gift,
I think
Chris.
more tracksuits is a good thing.
Yeah.
Tracksuits
good
are
prediction.
good.
Mike, your predictions?
I mean, I was going to predict more tracksuits, more matching tracksuits for Trollumvirates, but stole my fire there.
I ruined everything.
I mean, yeah. Except for Pappy Van Edmar.
Easy slam dunk.
Yeah.
Easy.
Slam dunk of the year.
If anything came out of this hype formula tonight, we actually developed the formula to
Yes. My
hype
lock of the week.
hottest line of liquid ever made in the history of ever.
Yeah. Hot
Yeah.
liquid. Coming
Hot
soon.
liquid.
Hot liquid, guys. You ready for some hot liquid? Are you more of a 19 or an 11 guy?
17.
17.
Yeah.
What number speaks to you? Yeah, I guess I like 19. Yeah, you like a 19. Perfect. You're gonna love this.
I like 11.
Is that with the green bong or the red bong?
Exactly. Exactly.
This is.
Oh, this is.
Has it already been done? Are we just hashing on someone else's thing already?
It
Let me
doesn't
check
matter.
Instagram.
So, yeah,
Let
check-
me check
yeah,
Instagram. Let me
okay.
see.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So good.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for coming here and coming to the show tonight, and thanks for knocking on the ceiling and letting me just run the show. That's hot, man. We'll see you next time on the Insiders Lobster Roll Table.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what
That was
we
fun.
said.
I don't know if it
To never be heard, seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted.
Jess, we got the cube. Just sit on the box.
Heard, seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again.
I gotta tell you, man. Happy Van Edmar.